Good evening, folks. Welcome to our regular council meeting. We just finished off a couple of public meetings. First off, I'll read through our video disclaimer so everyone's aware. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person and via Zoom will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent that the recording may contain your video stream, including images of yourself, your audio stream. This includes any opinions you may contribute. Anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not. By staying in the meeting, you consent to being recorded. By consenting and attending the meetings virtually or in person, participants also agree to recordings being posted to YouTube or other distribution services. First off, also like to acknowledge the First Peoples and traditional territory. Armour Township is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe. Armour Township recognizes the historical and contemporary contributions of the local First Nations and the peoples of Turtle Island. First up, do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof, based on tonight's agenda? Okay, none noted. We have a slight change to the agenda, so I'm just going to read through the resolution to amend the agenda. We've added the item regarding new business staff report replacement of septic system at the municipal office as the new item. Council of the Township of Armour approved the amended agenda for the July 8th, 2025 council meeting to include a staff report regarding the emergency replacement of the septic system at the municipal office. If I can get a number. Sure. Oh, that was like a three-way tie.
Who do you have written down? Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry it is.
Jerry and then Rod. Okay, we'll get Dorothy in the next one. All those in favor of the amended agenda, and that's carried. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting held on June 24th, 2025 as circulated. Dorothy. Sure. And Rod. Okay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so we are into our delegations. First up, we have Joe Reedman, mandatory firefighter certification support resolution. So this was a resolution that we looked at from municipality Black River Matheson in our last meeting and decided to table it because we wanted to get comments from Joe on this one. So Joe, did you want to start off or did you want us to go through some more background on why we had asked for your input on this?
No, if you want, I can give you kind of my opinion before I hear your side. That you're getting to read from the horse's mouth, if you'd like it that way, sir.
Great, go ahead, Joe.
Perfect. So mandatory certification first hit the platform in 2014. They opened what's called a grandfathering grace period, where people could grandfather to the certification. There was a lot of resistance from the province at that time, or from the municipalities to stop that then. The province did back off, but they cautioned people mandatory certification is coming. So us as a fire department of Birch Falls, since 2014, we've been working towards that with Gary, our third-party instructor. We have achieved our timelines and the mandatory certification timelines laid out in the legislation. So we're well within the mandatory certification. We're meeting all the requirements on all levels and plan to do so in the future. I personally like the third-party sign-off that we get it earning the NFPA certification when we do our training. That's the third-party testing that we bring in. There's a practical side of it. There's a written side of it. And I, as a fire chief, really like it. Our staff are getting the training that is equal to Toronto firefighters. Doesn't matter where you are in the province, whether you're in Birch Falls or Toronto, it's the same training, same standard. So our guys are getting the exact same level of training as they are in the city here. And that's something that I really like. And I think it's, I'm in favor of mandatory certification, the long and short of it. So.
Okay. So this particular municipality, presumably for costing and everything else, they were concerned about having to go through this, but you're saying supporting their resolution would send the wrong message.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's we want the mandatory certification. It's a good thing, and it's not going away. The province has made that very clear. They pulled it off the table once back in 2015, 2016, but they cautioned this is coming back and to start getting ready. And unfortunately, some municipalities just did not start getting ready for it. And this is a direct reflection of that, unfortunately.
Okay. I'm glad we tabled it because we weren't really sure. The questions from council for Joe, since we have him here.
I answered all my questions.
Yeah, answered mine as well. I guess my only question is, if they're not certified, would they just not have a fire department?
No, so there is lots of avenues to get certified, and that's one thing. There is no enforcement clause to the mandatory certification. It kind of just leaves you open for liability if something were to happen. But the province is not coming in and auditing every fire department to make sure that their ENR bylaw matches the certification. It's kind of just it's a legislation they've written now, and they're setting the thresholds there, but there's no true enforcement at this time. Not to say that's not coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Any other questions for Joe? Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. So we, at our meeting, we got a mover and a seconder so that we could table it, so we could discuss it, I should say. So we had Dorothy move it and Jerry second it.
Well, I appreciate you guys tabling it, invite me out and hearing me
Yeah.
out. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will vote on this now. And I'll read back through the resolution again. The Council of Township of Armour supports the Township of Black River Matheson and opposes the mandatory firefighter certification requirements as currently outlined in Ontario Regs 343-22. We had it moved by Dorothy and seconded by Jerry in order to get it on the table for discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I think we should record our vote.
Okay, not a bad idea. So we were unanimous. Everybody had their hand up, so, okay. Opposed, opposed, opposed. Okay. And that is defeated. So Joe, if you're still there, we have shot down that resolution. With due respect to our municipal friends down the highway.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks for the input.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Next up, we do have Amy on our agenda, but Amy's tied up with some other things, I think, right now, so we'll push her
a little
down.
late,
Yeah, so she's gonna be a little late. So what we'll do is we'll carry on with the agenda. And as soon as Amy pops back in, we'll interrupt the proceedings at an appropriate time. So we're now down to Dave. So as Dave Creaser comes in, I want to make the comment, the fairly obvious statement that the roads guys are just doing an unbelievable job considering the weather we had over Sunday and Monday and some of the things we've had to deal with. And I'd also like to say that I can't think of a staff member who hasn't stepped up. So when I walk around and I see the work that's being done, whether it's at the front desk, the stuff that Dave and Shar are doing, what Amy's doing, the roads guys, the bylaw guys, the fire chief, everyone's been involved in this process. It's really nailing the roads guys to the point where the guy who was on vacation came back to help out. And we also have been getting some help from surrounding municipalities. So just to add to the fun, and Dave could talk to this, we lost a grader today, but Perry Township stepped up and gave us not just a grader, but the operator. So I phoned Norm today and thanked him, Dave, for that extreme effort, and just goes to show small municipalities, the partnership, how it works. So anyway, especially to you, Dave, and your guys, kudos. And now you get to come to a council meeting just to top off your day. You're a lucky guy.
Thank you very much, through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, absolutely. Tackle that. It's very well said. I'm so impressed with the community spirit that I've seen with staff, council, neighboring municipalities, local residents, helping people with equipment, digging out neighbors, keeping the roads open, getting access, providing access. We've had Ryerson help on Stony Road. We had a road washing over. They helped us. They got to us before us. And again, Perry Township stepping up. I mean, it wasn't a very hard ask. I said we need help, and Perry was there. So it was a quick process, and we've had even contractors help, local contractors, and AFC showed up maybe within 12 minutes after me calling about the grader. They flew down and helped us out right away. We have a temporary fix in place that'll keep us going with no risk of damage while we operate. It's just a fuel rail problem. It's a common fuel rail problem. That's got a repair and a part's been ordered, so we'll get that replaced. So we should be operational if the fix holds. If not, we still have another grader. We have the backhoe operating, trying to keep things productive. We do have some roads that are passable by, I'd call pickup trucks, but not so much cars or especially equipment. Fire department could get through absolutely if needed, but all roads are open, and the water levels have been rising very high. The highest levels I've seen in my lifetime locally. So I've not seen it so high. The bridge that we're replacing, we've taken out the bridge and the footings. So that area is opened right up, and it's come way up. It rose 3 feet from when the guys arrived this morning at 7 till about noon. It came up. It kept coming fast. That's at North Pickerel Lake there. So there's a lot going on. I know some of our neighboring municipalities are going through a bit of a challenge. Strong, really going through a challenge. Ryerson, McNewan, I don't know if they've got it the worst, but it seems to me, it sounds like it. Whitestone's got it as well. Surprisingly, Perry Township and McMurray Monteith seem to be, from what I hear, not so bad. So we're going to be busy for a few weeks for sure, trying to get things back in order and cleared up. A lot of our roads, all the dust control from all the gravel replacement, turning it out, that'll be a challenge to keep that in order as well. So we've got a lot in order, but Fowler's going to be giving us gravel. If the tender is supported tonight, then Fowler's able to start hauling Thursday, which is a quick turnaround as well. So we have a lot in the go. I believe we've got a few tenders coming up in the council meeting. We've got the first two are in budget. I believe the gravel for Ferguson and the micro surfacing in Berrydale is well within budget. The winter sand is above budget. We'll probably be about 7,000 over our numbers for this year. This year we didn't use our local pit. We didn't have it prepared with the overburden pulled back for screening sand this year, so we had to tender it out, and we only got one bid on that. That's Miro on topsoil. We did reach out to other people, I believe 5 other contractors. One of them who I thought they might, but they were out of South River, said they just couldn't this year, so it was just the one bidder. We also have our roadside mowing should be starting Monday. We'll have a contractor this year. It'll be similar cost to rented equipment, which is great, because we need our guys to be to be running equipment, repairing roads rather than out running the lawnmower. So that'll be good news as well. So we have a lot in the go, and we really appreciate all the support, and we've had some amazing staff. I mean, Bylaw stepped up and helped. We've had so much staff members that have helped. So we're very lucky to live in such a community as we do. So I'm very thankful.
Thanks, Dave. So we do have a resolution, Dave, for the proposals. Did want to ask before we go there, because Wendy had mentioned it earlier. Do we know if there's any impacts to the North Pickerel Lake Bridge construction timelines? Like, is there any indication yet as to what the impacts might be with all the flooding that's happened?
There is some indication, yes. They were planning on having both sides, the mud slabs poured. They only got the I believe it's the one side, which is they only got the one side coming in from Colburn or Berrydale side. That side's been leveling slabs been poured, so they drilled and pinned in. It's 3 feet penetration into the rock, and then the mud slab is then poured, which is just a leveling slab to level it out for the footings. That's been poured. The other side, with the weather and the rain and that, pushed them back. They weren't able to get to that. It's probably going to be a number of days. I'm not sure how many days, but probably the rest of the week that they won't be able to get a pour in this week. So it'll probably be another week. They'll probably be a couple weeks behind. So it could push into the first week of August, potentially. To get the bridge swung in. It's nice that it's a prefab bridge, so it's coming together, like prepared, and they just swing it in place. So a lot of this work is being done off-site, so they just get the footings, and then after they get the bridge in place, then you'll have to do all your backfilling and grading and guide rail and paving as well. So that's not impacted too much. So we're not looking too bad for early September, late August, early September.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. We'll read this in, and if there's other questions for Dave, we can cover them as well. Where did that go?
5A, B, and C.
Where did it go? I think I'm missing. Not there. Bear with me for a sec. Is it 205 ABC?
Be 209, 10, 11.
208. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, that's right. His Amy's not here. All right. Staff report from the road supervisor dated July 8, 2025 regarding tender RDS 2025-02 for microsurfacing be received and that council award the contract to Duncor Enterprises for a tender price of $126,360 plus HST. You get a mover.
Sure.
You got Wendy and then I got Jerry. Any questions for Dave on this one? Okay, then noted, all those in favor. And it's one down. At the staff report from the road supervisor dated July 8, 2025 regarding tender RDS 2025-03 for gravel be received and the council award the contract to Fowler Construction Company Limited for a tender price of $100,873 plus HST. Mover Dorothy. Seconder Rod. Any questions on this one? All those in favor? And carried. And last but not least, the staff report from the road supervisor dated July 8th, 2025 regarding tender RDS 2025-04 for winter sand be received and the council award the contract to Armour and Topsoil Limited for a tender price of $42,250 plus HST.
Sure.
Rod. Seconder. Wendy. Any questions for Dave on that? And this was the one that was a little over budget, correct, Dave? 7,000.
Yes. Yeah. So by the time we buy our salt, we'll be about 7,000 over for the year.
Okay. Any other questions for Dave? All those in favor? And that is carried. Those are all for David.
Thank you very much.
I believe that is, unless you've got any other updates. You're certainly welcome to stay around for the rest of the evening. Or maybe,
I think I'll get some sleep. Thank you very much.
okay, that it. Thanks, Dave.
Can I get one question?
Oh,
Yes.
Different subject altogether, but question comment was on South Service Road at some point. The center line, I'm not sure if center line, but the shoulder lines have all been painted. They're wearing off, and the same as the ramp coming up past Loft House up to Oak Drive. Will we repaint that again? I'm just curious. Somebody goes to work in the morning, said it was foggy this morning, and without snowbanks, you can't see where the road is without the lines.
Yeah.
Just a comment, just to give it some thought.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can comment. Absolutely. It's not hard to get done. Not at all. The requirement is, if it's an asphalt road that has a standard lane width, 3.75 meters without a shoulder, paved shoulder, no paved shoulder, you're not required to have any of the white lines. If
Yeah.
it does have a paved shoulder, you'll see much wider shoulders. In some paved area, you are required. But to get them painted, they last a year or two. It's not hard to do. Yeah, we can get that done. It's a good idea. Thank you.
Well, they've been painted, they're just faded.
Yeah, so we can update that. I'll find a contractor and look after that.
Anything else for Dave? Thanks, Rod. Okay, thanks, Dave. Have a
Good evening.
Evening, thank you.
All right, next up is, bless you, item number 6 in your agenda package. So this is for a memorial plaque at Richard Thomas Park. We do have Nell Thomas, I believe, online. Good evening, Nell.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me this time and your consideration of this request. So this is in honor of my dad, Richard Thomas, and my mother, Jenny Thomas, who just died this past December. And we were hoping, our family is hoping to put a plaque, which is made by a company in Midhurst near Barrie. So it's very professional. It's the kind of stone that you would have on a grave. It's 2 feet by 1 foot, I believe he said, by 1 foot and 2 inches depth. And I think it's Atlantic blue granite is the color. And on it, it's simply going to say Richard Thomas, February 4th, 1932 to February 22nd, 2006. And Jenny Thomas and her birth date and then her date of death. That's all it's going to say on it. And Charlene suggested that I would have some suggestions for where it should be placed potentially, and run this idea past council to see if it's approved. So that's the description of the plaque. As I say, very professional. It's being made by a company that does this for this purpose. And I was up to the park on the weekend. There are 2 locations that seem quite well suited for this purpose. One would be on the ground in front of the current kind of memorial stone, I guess, which is a lovely copper that has Dad's name and the years that he was reeve. And then on the ground right in front of that is a nice flat spot that's quite bare of grass for some reason, almost as if it's waiting for something to go there. So that would be one potential spot. And then the other location is just to the left of that and more facing, if you looked through the trees, through to the stone waterfall. And right now there are 2 flat stones there. I'm not sure what they're doing there, but they almost are saying, here, put the plaque here. So those would be the 2 locations that I would suggest. Yeah.
Good, thanks. Questions for Nell? Or for Arlene?
No, I think it'd be wonderful to have a memorial there for them as well.
Thank you. Thank you. The rest of what we're going to do, probably about 20 family members, maybe 25, on the 26th, a Saturday this month, to have a little gathering and some speeches, poems and stuff, and then we'll put the plaque there. That's our plan. Now, we also have 2 dissolvable sand urns with a big fancy name of Ecosphere. Mom and Dad are going to be mixed together in these urns. So half of Mom and half of Dad in each of them. And then the urns go into the river. They sink, the sand dissolves, and the ashes get carried away. So that's what we're doing on Saturday, the 26th. When we film there.
So in terms of the plaque, Charlene, is this something that we would do, like our roads team would?
So the resolution speaks to,
No.
just the location would be subject to the approval of the road supervisor.
Okay,
And if the resolution's passed, council supports it, then I would forward that copy of the resolution to Nell and to Dave and email them both so they can connect and make arrangements to meet.
sort of, okay.
There is already a plaque there, correct?
Yeah.
Just for Richard.
So is the intention to leave that one intact and then to add an additional one with both names?
Richard Thomas would be one that we put up, right?
It's the one the township put up to recognize.
When he was recognized in the park.
Yes, yes, yes. So that will stay, and then this will be an additional one.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I see this one going on the ground flat, so
Oh.
horizontal on the ground flat, whereas the one that exists now is a big vertical stone with a lovely copper plate on it. But this one is designed to be just flat on the ground.
So who does the installation of it?
Now, who's doing the install?
We'll bring it there and we can set it there. I don't know if it has to be, I guess a little area has to be dug, which we could do. I've never done that before, so I'm not sure, you know, what exactly does it have to have gravel under it? Maybe I could ask the fellow. That's a good question. I could ask the fellow that's making it. I didn't think of that.
We'll connect you with the road super as well. So
Sure.
we will have access to that stuff.
Okay.
I'd be concerned if you can carry it there. I'd be concerned that somebody's gonna carry it somewhere else. Just as an example, a month ago, they pushed over the outhouse. Like, there's vandalism goes on. It was just, if you were talking to the manufacturer, if there was any way they could put a log, like a bolt attachment on the back, and it could be attached to something further in the ground or rock anchored to a rock that's there. Because I think if you can pick it up and put it there, I suspect it would be picked up and moved.
It's 50 pounds, I was told. So I don't think I could carry it, but obviously, yes, a man could carry it.
I mean, my only concern is I could almost bet dollars to donuts at some point it would move locations.
Yeah.
I don't think of anything in Burke's Falls that hasn't been played with.
If it's 50 pounds, somebody will lift it looking for worms to go fishing.
Yeah, it just,
Or just to challenge themselves to lift 50 pounds.
well, and the destruction.
Pounds is not much.
Yes.
The destruction factor. I mean, why would you push over an outhouse? They pushed it into the swamp. Like, it's just, there's nature in some people. I'm just thinking as a deterrent of some sort.
Good idea. Or even put it in a bed of cement. Maybe when I speak to Dave, he might have some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll read in the resolution and then we can, if there's any more discussion. Council Township of Armour hereby grants permission to Dr. Nell Thomas and her family to install a memorial stone at Richard Thomas Memorial Park that commemorates Richard Thomas, 1932 to 2006, and Jenny Thomas, 1932 to 2024, measuring approximately 2 feet wide, 2 inches thick at a suitable location near the water's edge, does not interfere with public use or access, subject to site approval by the road supervisor. Okay, I got
Jerry and Wendy.
Jerry and Wendy.
We're older than you.
I feel like it's more, yeah.
Any other questions for Nell? Good idea, Rod. Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. Nell, happy to
Thank
help
you.
out.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you. Anyone that would like to join us on Saturday, the 26th, our plan is to be there at noon to do this ceremony. So really,
Excellent.
yeah.
I will mark it in.
I'm sorry I can't make it now.
All right. I think I'll put
Golf tournament.
I'm going to put an ad in the paper up there for the event too. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Nell.
And you're welcome to stay now for the rest of our meeting if you want some laughs, but
Oh, I know this is amazing to observe. My husband's the mayor in Minden here.
oh, is
So
that right?
yeah, I don't attend his meetings, council meetings, but I have so much work to do. Thank you again so much.
Okay, thanks, Nell.
Yeah.
Bye. Okay. We are on to item number 7. So this is, oh, let me just check. We don't have any as of yet. Okay. We will carry on with item number 7. So this is the Prentice subdivision S01-24. So this has come back for a couple of reasons. And I think most notably is the fact that in our last resolution, we're getting a bit directive as opposed to putting conditions on the subdivision. So when this goes to the planning board, it's difficult for the planning board to assess if they can't see kind of a set of conditions. So there were concerns about about the wording that was in there. There were some concerns as well from Jamie, and we have Lanny here representing Jamie tonight. Jamie met with Wendy and Charlene and I, and there were some concerns about, it kind of felt like we were backtracking a little bit in terms of the application. So that's when it was raised. But when we looked at it further, we thought, let's get this right. So bring it back to council and have the discussion here again before this goes to the planning board. So that's essentially where we're at. We've got a new resolution. Did we print it out for everyone, Char? Is it just the one I have?
Everyone has it in their package.
Because I wanted to make sure everyone has it in front of them, because there's a lot of words in it and a lot of conditions. We have Landon here as well. And we're going to let Lanny go as far as being a delegation and talk to some of the concerns. We do have Don Murphy here from the Lake Association. Don didn't make the agenda in terms of being a delegation, but as is our customary practice, I will ask council if Don has a question or a comment, if it's okay to hear from Don, and I suspect I know what the answer will be, so Don will have a chance to speak as well. So Lanny, over to you, and we'll have a chance to ask further questions. You have a printout of the latest layout as well as the resolution package. So Lanny, over to you.
Okay. Appreciate the opportunity. Good evening, Mayor and council. Appreciate all the efforts of staff and respect their comments coming forward. Just wanted to sort of itemize the 5 bullet points that were raised in the last resolution. The one was the limiting it to a maximum of 14 lots, sort of predicated on the we did have pre-consultation meetings with the township, and we did do numerous studies. We updated, they were done in contemporary times. They're fairly rigorous tests under the new rules. We did an updated water quality assessment and ecological reports. I redefined the wetland boundary, which we brought forward in a zoning bylaw, and we did Paul undertook a deer wintering habitat study as well. So the previous decision, as I understand it, it has lapsed. So in my mind, what had happened previously is redundant, and I've said that in my email. As far as I know, there's no specific policy in place for deer bait for this particular piece of property. There may be information grounded in some of the policies that have come forward in your official plan and zoning bylaw, but they apply to everybody. So there are certain rules and outs, if you will, exceptions that are built into the official plan. The plan that was designed, predicated on 15 lots, was done so through the efforts of the ecologist, the hydrogeologist, the archaeologist. So they that plan, accommodates and addresses the natural heritage features and all the other sort of constraints that are on the property. With respect to the lot frontage requirements, that report prepared by Riverstone Environmental, and it was dated June 6, 2025. Just to take a look at the policy base that's in the township's official plan. I don't know if it was on your agenda. It is June 6th, and it was in there. So Val Shaw, the ecologist, indicated that there'll be no negative impacts on the deer wintering habitat or its ecological functions as required in official plan policy 2.4.3 D2. So that's a section in your OP, and that's what Al was addressing. He was on to say that you're not satisfied with that. You looked at policy 3 as well in the official plan. And he quotes a section and it talks about 90 meters of frontage and 120 meters of frontage. But critical to this, it says lesser lot sizes may be considered pending an evaluation prepared by a qualified specialist indicating that says winter deer habitat. I'm sure it's winter deer habitat does not exist. So in his conclusion, he states that the first suggests that lesser lot sizes are warranted as we confirmed that deer habitat does not exist. The second point to consider is the fact that the average frontage, notwithstanding the 90 meters, the average frontage throughout the draft plan is 100 meters. So that overall, in totality, that number has been met. That was his conclusions. There's policy in your official plan that allow for lesser frontages, and there's work that's been done to suggest that it's possible and should be done in this case. The restrict development on lots 13 to 15. This was, I can't quite figure out why it was problematic, and I put the definition in my response here in terms of how you calculate lot area. So it's everything above the high water mark. So you can clearly see on the plan now that all the lots have a minimum, well above the minimum of 0.8 hectares above the high water mark. Even if you took into account the wetland area, you have more than enough 0.8 hectares outside of that. So I don't, and the bylaw simply doesn't state that you have to include the FP lands or the wetlands. It just doesn't. So those lots now clearly state above the high water mark, notwithstanding the wetlands and in the total lot area, and the envelope size is also on that plan. The other thing, there's also to that point, in the what I feel will be included, could be included in the site-specific bylaw, is the redelineation of the wetlands that were done by a qualified ecologist. I believe it was done previously through aerial imagery, and in this case, the ecologist actually went out and field truth of the wetland. It's a common practice that a lot of municipalities have. They have an ecologist go out and verify the terrestrial area, if you will, what is a wetland and what isn't wetland. So that'll be brought forward. And the other thing that we did do, and it was a recommendation by the ecologist, was to include a 30-meter buffer from any of the wetlands as well. So that should be included in somewhere in the planning docs, whether it be in zoning or in an agreement. With respect to the backlot development, I'm not sure I quite follow this. Lots 13 to 15 have building envelopes on the lake side of the new condominium road. So putting lot lines on the opposite side of the road, in my mind, creates a backlot. Notwithstanding the fact that, they're trying to tie the two together. In my mind, it's the optics. It almost looks like there's trying to be backlot versus, you've got building areas, you got development envelopes on the one side of the road. Why not keep them there? The other thing is too, just strictly from a marketing perspective, like I've seen in some cases, you have a building envelope on one side of the road, or dwelling on one side of the road, then you got a road traversing the waterfront, and it's terrible. People have to cross the road in order to get to the other side to go to the water. So I think it's much better just to keep the building envelopes just the way they are and avoid that whole sort of backlot idea. With respect to cash in lieu, that's a condition. We'll have to adhere to that, and however you guys calculate it, presumably it's cash in lieu predicated on the subdivision plans only, based on the market value, excluding any improvements. And I think that's what was concluded. So when you go through all this, when you go through the discussion, It looks to me like we're talking whether it's a 14 or 15 lot draft plan. The draft plan was carefully designed, taking into account all those natural areas, and we tried to accommodate them as best we could, and have done so with no negative impact. So I think, what it boils down to, lots 1 to 5 have 62 to 65 meters of frontage rather than 90. But as I said, these can be rezoned with the lesser frontage. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if there is no deer wintering habitat on those lots, do they even need a rezone? I'll leave that. But I'm just saying that it's in your official plan that you can recognize a lesser frontage. The previous plan and the work that was done, if it was as simple as just reinstating that plan without having to go through the whole process, it would have made life a whole lot easier. But that's not the case. We had to do the studies, we went through the process, redesigned the plan, brought it into contemporary standards, and we have a draft plan that's designed to accommodate those natural heritage features that works on the property. So I'd respectfully request your consideration and approval of the present 15 lot draft plan. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. We can do questions first based on the delegation, or we can read the resolution in first and then have questions.
And let Dawn speak first, or,
I want Don to hear the conditions
okay.
before he comments, if that's okay. So I'm going to read the resolution in that way, Don, you have a chance to hear what we're proposing from a condition point of view. And then we'll have questions. I'm sure there'll be some questions for Lanny and possibly for Don as well. So bear with me because it's a fairly long one. Okay, Council Township of Armour, rescind resolution number 189 dated June 24, 2025, and support a subdivision application submitted by Ralph Prentice, number S01-24, concessions 1 and 2, lot 23, subject to the following. That the subdivision plan confirms that all proposed lots meet the township zoning bylaw definition of lot area, meaning the total horizontal area within the lot lines of a lot, but shall not include any area below the high water mark, each having a minimum area of 2 acres, 0.08 hectares, but not constituting development or site alteration of adjacent lands to fish habitat, as per section 4.1.8 of the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, or involve wetlands as also regulated and defined therein to the satisfaction of the municipality. So that speaks to the lot area question. Condition 2, that the applicant convey the required cash in lieu of parkland dedication to the Township of Armour as per current bylaw. I don't think there's any dispute about that one. Condition 3, the applicant provide written evidence from MNRF confirming that lots 1 to 5 are not a confirmed deer habitat to allow for a reduced minimum frontage of 120 meters to 61 to 70 meters. Sorry, from 120 meters to 61 to 70 meters. Upon confirmation from MNRF that a zoning bylaw amendment be applied for and received, which recognizes a minimum lot frontage for proposed lots 1 to 5, requires variations in the minimum lot frontage requirement for winter deer habitat. Condition number 4, that a zoning bylaw amendment be applied for and received to rezone the proposed lots to Lakeshore Residential, floodplain, and wetlands protection zone to allow residential uses on a year-round basis. That the lands identified as additional lands owned by applicant be merged with lands to the north, and a zoning bylaw amendment be applied for and received to prevent any further residential development or further land division. So this speaks to our planner's concerns around the back lot and the reason for the ask to have them added to the lots across the road. This is just saying that instead identify the lands as additional lands and those be merged with the lands to the north. Next, shall give special attention to the drainage of stormwater away from its proposed outlet onto Cherry Hill, a municipal road at its intersection with the condominium road. The owner shall design and finance the entire cost to the Township of Armour for the installation of stormwater drainage facilities if required from the condominium road intersection. Next, that the owner shall agree to the provision of wording in the subdivision agreement verifying that the entire property is subject to site plan control and that the Township of Armour shall require future site plan control applications for all proposed development within the boundaries of the plan of subdivision. That the final development agreement include topography and location of proposed wooded areas, floodplain areas, protected wetland areas, and the proposed building envelopes. That a 0.31 foot reserve be established along the limits of blocks 16 and 17 where they abut the adjacent additional lands, as well as across the road stub in block 16 extending beyond the cul-de-sac and approaching Nolte Lane, which is privately owned but not in the name of the applicant. The reserve shall be conveyed to the appropriate authority to prevent unauthorized access and to control future road connections to the satisfaction of the township. And finally, that the proponent is responsible for all costs incurred by the Township of Armour, including legal, engineering, surveying, and planning consultant fees for completing the subdivision and common element condominium agreement. We can get a mover to get a table. Okay. Okay. I got Dorothy and then I got Rod. Okay. Questions for Manny?
Does he seem not what you just read?
No, I was writing them down as you.
May I give a copy so he knows what he's referencing?
I was gonna give, I got mine off.
Okay, I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to hand this over. Yes, I saw you like note taking quickly.
Hard to take notes and listen to.
Yes, yeah. And
So-
know what your question, yeah.
So while we're kind of gathering our thoughts, Don, is there anything, any questions that you would like to ask or anything you'd like clarified from the readout of the conditions?
Yeah, if I might, and I appreciate the kindness of letting me speak at the meeting. In condition 3 in the revised resolution, if I'm listening to that correctly, we're saying that to have a lot frontage less than 90 meters, MNRF will have to agree that this is not a significant winter deer habitat.
That's correct.
Thank you. That is my only question. I mean, I could go reverse on Lanny's points, but not in the best interest of everyone's time. I think we just plain find a disagreement on the overall deer habitat status, and I think MNRF has made clear that they don't agree as well. But we'll find that out.
Yeah. Other questions for Lanny or for Charlene?
Just want to make sure, so Don, you're supportive of condition number 3 in the amended resolution?
Yes. In general, the municipal planner seems to, as we do, believe the OMB and constraints are still should be enforced, including the 14 lots as well as the frontages. I think overall in the wetlands, I think moving it upland there should, in our opinion, there should be no development there at all. But if it's going to go, if there's going to be, it needs to be upland and it needs to be clear. And I think in some of Lanny's, the back and forth with Melissa regarding access to the lake on those lots, I think that, again, consistent with the provincial policy statement as well as the current OP, any alteration or impact into that wetland area is not going to be permitted. And there's sort of an open area around this elevated boardwalk. Who would create it? How would it be done? Who would pay for it? And who would have access to it? And that, while mentioned in the EIS report, there are no specifics. I think that to do correctly would be a dramatically expensive undertaking, being a nice thing. But again, I don't want to get down into a rabbit hole. I'll stop talking. Thank you.
So thanks for that. So actually it does bring up a point though, and I was going to ask this about the potential boardwalk, Lanny. So 13, 14, and 15 will not have water access.
That's our intention.
Okay.
You might know go down and dip your toe in the water, but.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting into going through the different studies that were submitted, putting those in as our conditions, because Al, I believe with his 2 reports that were included in your agenda package, has a lot of good recommendations, which the planning board could incorporate regarding the boardwalk and wetlands protection, docks locations, all that stuff. So there's no sense in Armour repeating it.
Yeah.
So the planning board has received copies of all of those reports as well.
Linda sent them to me, so she has both of Al's reports, they're both very good. And I think with other subdivisions that we've had within the municipalities, when it comes to environmental studies, sometimes they've been attached as schedules. Like to the subdivision agreement, when there's certain lots that have specific requirements for development, like at the north and south end of Jack's Lake, for example, some of those lots have specific locations where the septic must go, dock location, all that stuff. So I think Al's report would be good to include as a schedule, but that's up to the planning board if they want to do that.
But what I've seen done actually is that the recommendations and mitigation measures be included in the local subdivision agreement.
Right, yes, yeah.
So you just list them all in your condition.
You could do that.
It'll be in your agreement.
Yeah. That'd probably be the right way. We just left it in as a schedule.
Whatever way you want to do it, I'm just saying that's the way we've done it.
Yeah.
Before. So
I think the biggest thing here is the whole subdivision has site plan control.
Yeah.
So anybody that's purchasing will understand that they just can't go in and build whatever they want.
Yeah.
It has to be approved.
Yeah, and the internal road system is one thing. We just want to make sure that the access to Cherry Hill Road is maintained, that's all.
Yeah.
Especially after Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 14, so this resolution is not speaking to reducing
No,
the lot.
it's keeping it 15.
It's keeping it at 15, but saying that 13 and 14 and 15 will not have direct access to the lake. Is that correct?
Well, that's in Al's reports and looking at the wetlands, because there's no development. What we're concerned about in our conditions is just confirming that there's 2 acres of developable land. That's it.
Yes, okay. I guess I have a problem with allowing the creation of lots when the entire frontage is a wetland. So I'm assuming there's also some floodplain there as well as
And that's all
wetlands.
addressed in Al's reports.
Because if you allow the creation and the use of like a building, you put a structure on there, is it just not natural that a person is gonna wanna have a pathway
Driveway?
through
Lake.
that wetland to use the water?
Over time, yeah, once they get their final in their cottage or their house, right?
How do you enforce that?
There's
Site plan control.
Exactly, but the site plan get registered and 2 years later, they've got their path to the lake and their
Yeah.
dock.
There could be a condition, and I have to speak to the planning board as to how to implement it. But they may ask for a site plan up front.
Yeah,
In other words,
before any
pre-
build goes on.
for a pre-plan, so that the subdivision gets registered, but with that notation that there's site plan control, and here's your site plan already on the property.
I guess that's one of my big concerns is we can put everything we want on paper.
Nothing, I know like Wendy's saying,
How does it get enforced down the road?
yeah, 2 years down the road, somebody will,
Well, it may change. The law
Change
probably
hands.
could change hands too.
yeah, and somebody changes hands and they
Doesn't even
just,
know there's a registered plan of subdivision on the property.
Trucks coming
You
in.
make a mistake, just double the taxes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was not aware that it included going back to 15 lots, the resolution changed. And we're also not including that those lots would be upland of the access road on the other side of the access road away from the lake.
Yeah, they would not. It's back to the original plan where they're on the east side of the road,
No backlot.
no back lot. And then the property that's on the west side of the road will be attached to, that's Jamie's property, right?
Yes.
The property to the north. So that there can't be any backlot development.
I mean, there's no way that we could, we certainly don't support that, because I think, as Wendy said, there's no way that you can put a lot facing the water and tell us that they're not going to eventually impact that wetlands. I mean, understandably, the developer has their right to develop, wants to make their money, we get that, but incursion into the wetlands seems just insane to us. We just can't understand how anyone would want to do that, and how we would not protect that vital piece of, it's the only wetland on Deer Lake. Only a certain number, and I realize it's not provincially significant wetlands, but it is significant to the town and very significant to the lake. So we did very much support the main, allow the 2 upland lots, but if we're going to put them in front of the lake, we're just going to say goodbye to that wetlands. There's no question about it. And that's, we certainly can't support that.
I'm not sure it would make that much difference. People still want to get down the lake, even if they're across the road. They're still gonna figure out a way.
If we allow them back here, where are they supposed to access the lake from the backside? Like,
Yeah, they'd have to-
trespass on the other people's
Yeah,
lots to get there.
unless you had a strip down, like at the north end of lot 15 and you would put some access point there. I'm not sure how else you'd deal with it.
Like a concession route, like.
Yeah, it's almost like a road
It would
allowance.
be a public access.
Yeah,
Al's report has the requirements for any boardwalk development or anything like that, right? So Al's report's kind of addressing that, but again, once the final's completed, we don't know when if they're gonna start putting fill in there or whatever, but how do you enforce that otherwise, unless you've got it in the subdivision agreement, but then you're still looking at legal if they do.
It's the administrative burden that I see being placed, having to maintain that this is going to continue to be allowed as wetlands and not disturbed.
What is there on other properties in the township now? Is each property subject to site plan control?
We don't have a whole lot of property. We allow redevelopment in wetlands.
It's not being developed though. I mean, there's mitigation.
It is.
There's-
It is being developed.
There's a line going through it, but zoning bylaw will protect that from any incompatible development.
There's a building envelope here and there's a structure being on here, then it's adjacent to the wetlands. So the development may not be right in the wetlands, it's adjacent to it. And I have a hard time believing there isn't gonna be an impact.
What about if, look at your lot on that drawing there, lot number 7? It's specific where the building envelope is. And that's where it details where only development is permitted. See in the red and the green in the bottom of lot 7, because lot 7 has a lot of wetlands too.
A lot of wetlands, yeah.
What about putting that building envelope? Because didn't Al say that there was a maximum dwelling size that could go on lot 7 in his report?
yeah, it was 1,000
But
square feet.
the building envelope, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
You can only build what you can build. If anything, the smaller the building, probably the better, the less impact there is.
Well, when you read his report, it wasn't for the small building, like it was 1,200 square feet or something.
Well, that's pretty modest.
In today's world it is, yes.
2,000 square feet is the maximum dwelling size for
On
lot
lot
7.
Still pretty big.
So would we also control where they can put their driveway in? Would it have to come in from right here
That's,
so that they don't cross the wetland at all?
Well, no, because that's all, well, yeah, it'd be under site plan
Well, I don't see, how are they gonna get?
down here. The driveway is in here.
Oh, I
Off
see,
the side.
in this little, I see,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought the same thing. I thought they'd be coming
Yeah.
up, no, come off the coast.
And those specifics would be in the subdivision stated as,
Linda's got a lot of homework.
yeah, this is.
Would be pretty detailed conditions.
just spitballing here on this one, but it's kind of counterintuitive because it's going back to the way we used to do things. But what if the township owned the shore road allowance? Could we control the access? Could it?
No, they have riparian rights.
What's that?
They have rights to access the water if they're on the water.
They still have access, but if we put a boardwalk there,
It's road allowance.
Liability is better if we don't own it.
I'm just thinking in this case, and only in lots 13, 14, and 15. I'm thinking of ways that
Yeah.
to Wendy's, but to stop them from actually going down and building docks and putting a beach in or whatever they're gonna do down at the.
We're gonna,
You would own the property, so you'd have control to what activities happen on that road loss.
we have the same issue in any lot in the township. Once we grant a building permit, we presume they're following the rules. Once we grant a minor variance, like 4 years down the road,
How do you control?
anything can happen. So I mean, it's, your concerns are everywhere in the township. I know what the issue is. I know what the thoughts are. But I mean, realistically, it could happen anywhere. It's just, it's a matter of, like Wendy said, how do you police? It's not policing it. Who's gonna tell on somebody?
It's a matter of trust.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And I mean, and it's in every lot on the township.
But unfortunately, it's not even trust. The owners might not know that they're not permitted, right?
No, They will know if there's a.
But I can guarantee you, my 17-year-old son wouldn't be like, Mom, am I allowed to walk through here to go down to the water? He would go with his buddies on a quad through there down to the water.
The only way to prevent it is not to build there.
Sorry?
The only way to prevent it is not to build in that. space.
So to Wendy's, and I don't know, I'm so new and I don't understand the rules at all, but like you said, we don't allow development in wetlands, so why would we entertain allowing this development in these wetlands?
It's not on the wetland though, it's just their wet beside their backyard.
But we're creating it as their backyard. Right now, it's one large piece.
Yeah, but it's still, we're developing a lot and they're gonna have wetlands in their backyard. That's already in the township, in people's backyard.
It's all over.
It's actually in their front yard.
Front yard now.
Front yard, backyard.
They're on the water, so.
No, front yard, backyard, it's a technicality. It's.
The
People
only,
have swamps in their yard.
the only time I remember a plan of subdivision being approved with a fair amount of wetland was the one we did on Jack Lake.
Yeah,
And
that surprised me
well,
actually.
it went to the OMB. It was challenged, it went to the OMB. So again, they were allowed very, very confined places to put docks and to do their building and where they had their septic systems. I don't know how this wetland compares to what the wetland was on Jack Lake. I do know Jack Lake's was fairly extensive. But
Jack Lake was a swamp.
Yeah. yeah,
I think you and I and Richard could have walked down that.
Yeah.
Well, even the water, I was all.
With rubber boots on.
yeah. So I don't know how this wetland compares to that.
And even when you get down to the water's edge here, it's shallow for, like, if you were to try to put a dock in, it would have to be about 200 feet long, I
Yeah.
think, to get out anywhere
Yeah,
decent.
and that's usually what wetlands, because there's lots of bog and bulrushes and greenery and, well, that's what helps keep the lake clean.
So, yeah, and that's what's there right now.
That's what's there right now, yeah. So that's why I'm struggling, because there's so much wetland here. The specific wording of these came from our plan, correct?
Yes.
So the only thing I think the township needs to be aware of is if we approve this, not approve it because we don't have approval, but if we support this with these conditions, there's a very good chance it's going to be challenged by Don's group or who else. And we have to be able to defend our position on why we wanted these conditions. So as long as we think we're in the defensible position and are comfortable with it, then.
The original, 1995 plan allowed for 2 lots in there. So
Yes, there was development approved
Already.
through, did that go to OMB?
Mhm.
Yeah, through an OMB decision.
I don't see it being a problem.
You don't think permitting the 3 is a problem?
In regards to being able to
On the wording.
back this up.
Mm.
Especially with the OMB before past history. Plus this. Conditions, I believe, are defined a little better.
Top of your head, what recommendations were for 13 and 15?
Not right up. I had sure. We did do it.
I mean,
Do we know,
13 to 15, sorry. So a raised boardwalk was recommended and is common for access through a wetland. The planner's report indicated that lots 13 to 15 will not have access to the lake, which is incorrect. There will be a raised boardwalk and not intention to construct a dock, although a floating dock would be acceptable. Response and recommendations. The submitted EIS states that section 4, page 13, along with the 2 backlots to 13 and 15 would not have access to Deer Lake due to the presence of a large wetland and type 1 fish habitat along the shoreline. All remaining lots are proposed to have access to Deer Lake. Clarification is required from Riverstone regarding whether lots 13 or 15 are to have access, limited access via boardwalk or no access.
So you have to go down and see Riverstone response.
Oh, so lots 13 to 15 are entirely fronted by wetland that also serves as type 1 fish habitat. In our report, we noted that access to the shoreline would not be accommodated on these lots. This statement was intended to reflect boating access. Traditional docking structures would not be recommended for these lots to serve motorized boats. The wetland feature extends quite a distance into the lake and would far exceed what is allowed under the zoning bylaw. Providing motorboat access would mean extending a dock exceedingly far into the lake, which would not be allowed, or promote motor access through the wetland feature. This is also not recommended as the lake is quite shallow, which does not support boat traffic, and outboard motors would damage wetland vegetation. For these lots, access to the wetland and views over the lake is offered by allowing a raised boardwalk style structure. These features would not be impacted by a raised boardwalk that is constructed using helical piles or similar construction. And then it went on to say raised piles have very small footprint. And we have applied similar design considerations to a raised boardwalk structure in the township of Georgian Bay through a provincially significant wetland that was approved through the MNRF. So I guess any development or through that area would have to be approved by the MNRF.
Yeah,
right?
it'd be a raised boardwalk at most, and no dock. That's what I was getting
And
at.
who built it?
And who would pay for that? That's gonna cost like $1 million.
The owner, he wants,
Which one?
if he wants access to the water, he pay for
Which would be kind of silly just to have a boardwalk, no dock, no nothing.
it.
Well, in
Yeah,
theory,
go down to the water.
in theory, these lot 13, 14, and 15 aren't waterfront lots.
Essentially, no. So putting the Riverstone responses in as conditions.
So just a quick, just so as a comment on just the way you read that, Wendy's comment, my comment. So then normally on a cottage, the front yard is the lake side. If they don't have access to the lake, their front yard would be the roadside
No,
on those particular lots.
Not according to our zoning.
not according to the zoning bylaw.
Okay,
They are waterfront.
I just have a hard time imagining.
But are they waterfront with the road allowance going through it?
Well,
No,
I think there's probably a lot of situations in the township of Armour where there's
Road allowance,
yeah, a lot that runs down to the water, but there's a road allowance in front of it.
yes, which would make them not waterfront.
Yeah, they are.
Well, and then they shouldn't be paying waterfront taxes.
it's riparian rights. You have, even though you don't own your shorelines.
Yeah,
So have access.
yeah,
So-
it's like that.
You can't put a dock. You can't,
Or boat.
or a boat. But you're gonna pay a lot of money to put a boardwalk in there?
To walk down and look at the lake.
You'll be able to see the birds flying around in the
Yeah.
wetlands. And a lot of people like birds. It'll be those type of people that'll buy that lot.
It's a different kind of cottaging. It's not traditional.
100% it is. They had a subdivision in Axe Lake and that's what they did. Common element all the way along the shoreline.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. They have a walking trail along the waterfront. I was out in Echo Valley and there was the Boyne River wetland, Lee Lassiter wetland. And we had put a trail through a PSW out to a viewing platform in the middle of a swamp. And people love it. They're out there and they take a look at the birds and the turtles and all that sort of wonderful stuff.
So if a private owner wanted to do that, he would have to get permits through from the MNR. It's not like they could go through us through site plan. Or it would,
You'd have what an
I think you need both.
Yeah, you'd need site plan approval, because it's almost like one agency is gonna talk to the other,
right.
right?
I mean, the example you state, Lanny, is a public access park, right? Which is not what we're talking about here. That would make sense if the town wanted to put a park there and allow viewing to try to increase education of the wetlands. But
I don't
private
know.
individual do this, that they're never gonna do that. It'd be too expensive. They're gonna infill and make a way to the lake. I guess overall, we're just trying to understand why do we feel we have to maximize the development so that every part of this area is developed? I mean, this is an area that should just be left, or if you want to build on the upland side, as the municipal planner recommended, have a view of the lake, that makes sense. But to be in facing wetland and not able to see or access, that doesn't make any sense. Not to mention, eventually there will be an incursion and impact onto this wetland.
Whether it's private or public property, the impact would be the same.
True.
Well, no, if it was public property, we would manage it. When it's private property, we don't necessarily know what's happening on it.
And I'm not sure it is public property where that boardwalk is. But nonetheless, the impact, in my opinion, is the same.
Oh, we would just have different powers or controls if it was public land.
And I'll just be argumentative. Every time we issue a building permit, we're subject to somebody building something without a permit 2 years later. It's the same aspect, that it's the policing issue that Wendy's concerned with. We don't have any clue. Buildings go up all the time without a permit, and impact fine goes. There is, I agree with Wendy, the police, we can tell somebody you can't do that. But unless there's eyes there on, and I mean, it'll happen. Things happen as soon as, if I bought that lot and I had it for 20 years and I pass it on to somebody else, they buy it, they go, I'm gonna drive the 4-wheeler down there so I can see. Like they don't ask questions. They just presumed the first owner didn't want to do it. We've had issues out at Pickerel Lake when they clear cut it. We have rules against that, but somebody wanted to get rid of the trees.
And unfortunately, once it's done, once the fill is in, it's done. The wetland is affected.
That's right.
So once the trees are cut,
But I
we
mean,
have rules against it.
but when it's done, it's done. I mean, we've had somebody dump stumps and roots and everything into 3 Mile Lake, and we made them pull them back out.
Within reason, but there's some things you can't, the 50-year-old trees.
Yeah, I agree.
in place.
Sometimes the recourse is more damaging than what's done, but I mean, I'm just being argumentative.
I just don't know why we're creating, and I don't know the rules. Maybe we're creating because we are legally obligated to, but I don't know why we're creating a rule that we know. I like you said, any plan can be changed. Anything can be changed once they have the final. The likelihood of this being changed is very, very high.
I agree.
Like we know this is most likely not going to be followed.
No, but it wouldn't, the same thoughts would have crossed our minds in 95 when the OMB approved it too.
I was 11, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Look at it from another perspective, the amount of people that are gonna wanna buy that lot.
That's my thought.
Are gonna be a
It's not
lot,
marketing it.
there'll be a lot less people wanna buy that. So there's a possibility nobody buys it.
It's timing. Look at the 25 years ago, the lots out at Loon Lake. It was, who would ever assume somebody would build a house on a cliff? Rod's a good example.
There's one on Pool Lake.
That's just mean that times will change.
What idiot would build there?
Yeah.
If it meets the conditions of our plans with all this information that I'm reading before me, I'm comfortable with that. I'll leave it like that.
Policing will be an issue. And it'll be ongoing.
So, Char, would these be sold as 3 waterfront lots when taxed as waterfront?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I could think of.
I like the idea of if there's a design footprint, like if the house can be built in this area only on the lot, it stymies somebody thinking outside the box.
So that's it there. That is it.
Maybe a shadowed area on the plot
Of a building area.
of the building envelope area.
Give up.
Is that easily done?
yeah, we've.
Probably already there, right?
We've
What?
got.
Well, that's why I don't know. Can you do both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's-
Talking about a more detailed area
Way around.
where.
Just, I think if that was colored,
Oh,
here, this is a building area envelope,
yeah,
I
right,
think it'd be easier for some people to understand.
this is where we can go. Right there.
I think that'll be a lawyer issue when somebody's purchasing the properties.
So
Oh, they'll
Like-
go through their due diligence.
Yes.
for sure.
got a few conversations going on. Wendy, you look like you want to ask something, so.
Shar just wondered, and I don't know.
Lanny, you answer this.
Yeah. Well, I'm not concerned about the cash in lieu. Should council consider taking ownership of the wetlands on 13, 14, and 15?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like purchase from?
We get it resurveyed, and any property that's sitting in this wetlands on these 3 lots
Oh, just like,
is transferred to the township of Armour.
just like the lake is crown land, this would
Yeah.
be.
So
They wouldn't be allowed to build
So-
anything.
So they couldn't build on it, they'd have to build back here, and we could have then, it's our land, we could
Then we can
have a control over what happens.
That was the idea with the road allowance that it,
Would the lots then be big enough? But I don't still meet the minimum requirement?
Based on
I-
this
I
drawing
think so,
that's there.
yeah.
So-
Would that fall into instead of cash in lieu of?
I'm saying we don't, we're not doing that.
We're getting parkland.
Maybe we'll,
it's essentially parkland.
And
You're
you're
getting parkland, that's what cash in lieu is.
then you're gonna let the public use the wetland.
no, we're
No,
not.
no. Because they have no access to it.
They'll use it. They'll use it.
But they can't. They have no way to access it. They would have to trespass.
No, but then you,
The neighbors
how
can,
do you just take it?
the neighbors
Oh.
will access it,
How are you
and
gonna
then you'll have.
Nothing changes.
take the land? Public, you have to have a reason to do it. It has to be something, so it has to be parkland. So if you're gonna take it for parkland, it has to be used for parkland.
And anybody can go there. So that's not,
But nobody has access to it. How are they gonna get to it?
But the neighbors will.
So that makes it worse.
I think so.
Yeah, I would think that would make it worse, because then it's a private park for the neighbors,
Yeah, big picnic area.
But how are they getting to
That's an
wetlands?
idea.
the neighbors.
they'll fly.
But like, that's what I'm saying is there'd only be certain lots you could get there from.
Like,
But some of the lots will have a dock and have a boat.
Yeah, or somebody could come in from the.
Swim in.
Anybody could on the lake, but
You could,
So it has to be, the requirement would have to be that it's parkland if the
the
town.
you
navigable,
could take.
navigatable waterway accesses from the lake.
Yeah. You can walk to it. You can get out of your boat and walk to it.
So wetlands,
That would be good, yeah.
so wetland isn't. Like how that rain we got, is that wet, is it wet enough to consider it lake right now?
I don't know, I've never been. But it's wet.
Oh.
You wouldn't walk around there, I can tell you that. It's very,
You wanna walk around?
no, it's all snake grass, it's all mud, it's all what we call loon poop. It's just, you know,
Looks like
without
a lake.
infilling, it would be unusable.
If it looks like a lake, then it sounds like crown land.
And that's the problem, it gets infilled,
Yeah,
and that's when the damage gets done to the lake.
you guys have a site alteration bylaw too, you know?
Mhm.
We do, yeah.
Yeah,
but that's the unfortunate piece is that we enforce the bylaw after you do.
It's the cost.
After you-
to Try to enforce it.
Yeah.
And the person's usually one to skip town.
M&R is pretty good at that.
Yeah,
You know, if these are less saleable, why couldn't this be an addition, you know, if they sold the other lots and there was demand, that you could look to add these in? I mean, why do we have to apportion them now?
don't work front lots.
Is the shore road allowance still viable? Does that buy us anything if we own the shore road allowance? Or a shore road allowance?
That just makes it public to everybody.
And the problem is the average person
But if somebody tries,
doesn't know who owns the shore.
but the owners of those properties would, so they're not gonna try and build a dock. Because they're essentially building on our property, and then we've got every right to go in there and tear it down, say, you're not building this.
The unfortunate piece is how often do we sell owners the shore road allowance? In 10 years, are we gonna be sitting here agreeing to sell the shore road?
Well, we'd have to tie
Fish
it,
habitat there.
Yeah, which we don't sell
Okay,
shore road
okay.
allowance in type 1 habitat.
Yes, well, yes, they wouldn't be able to have a dock, absolutely. So if they put in fill, it would be filled to nothing,
They could have a floating dock.
So
but not on our
Fish
property.
like a floating dock.
But like
It's
Mayor
shade.
said, they
It's
can't put in
enhancing.
to get that dock in and out every year, you're gonna be in
in the wetlands, yeah.
So
A
you're
floating dock
Floating
typically
down
has an
somewhere?
upward
You're gonna
cement tank,
build
right?
an area of wetland.
How many feet are we talking, if I may?
Well, the floating docks, you don't take them out,
Is it 245 feet?
they just leave them.
You're allowed to walk in wetlands, you just can't build anything.
Yeah, you can walk in.
They have to be anchored, right? And they're anchored with poured concrete.
Distance stuff.
The concern is,
Where this
Well, we
is,
know that.
is that 245 feet?
We got the same thing. I mean, have a conversation with them. Well, to make sure that the conditions.
Oh, from what I understand. So half is the 100.
So we're gonna have to move this to some kind of conclusion.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's the planning board. Oh, wait, that's gonna be my problem.
I was gonna say.
But we have to get it through our council. And to Wendy's point, it's gotta be something that's defensible if this goes to the OLT.
Well, you're aware of what the concerns are.
Yeah.
Linda, when you have the conversations of 13 to 15 and development in the wetlands. Our zoning bylaw is one thing, but it's difficult to enforce when you're not watching the lot all the time, but it's no different than any other lot as well. But it's protecting those lands.
No, I
and-
guess the concern is, there's a lot of existing lots out there. We're allowing the creation of
Of new-
lots in the wetland, new lots.
In 2025, when somebody builds there and they say, why did you permit this?
But I know, but we still do allow that. Like, we still have
Yes.
lots that have wetlands on them.
Yes.
We just don't count them. We just don't have them to that extent,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there's a number of lots will have a little, like a piece
Mhm.
of the frontage.
But
as
we're
a
concerned
wetland.
about the development after site plans, but
Yeah.
yeah,
There's just such an extensive amount of wetlands here.
that's why that site plan agreement's gotta be tight.
Yeah, and this guy that works for Armour will look after that.
We got a good bylaw enforcement team.
Just like, I mean, it's gonna happen. Like the chance of Wendy's right, there's a chance of that, and I'll refer to. Jack's Lake, Turner Can. When I worked at the lumberyard, I drove in there one day and they had a 16-foot bulldozer in the lake. Removing all the shrubbery. I was like, woo.
I've seen people use their tractors to put their docks in. Like, well, I don't think you're supposed to drive those in the lake, but.
Only one way to preclude this from happening, right? We all know that. Not develop on those lots.
I'm comfortable with what's proposed. I like the idea of if the building envelope, however Jerry said that, is defined on the space, that would create a little bit of limitations for now, but I agree with Wendy. But down the road, you can't police everything. You're just gonna have to hope that for the best, and it can almost guarantee. Like I would agree with Wendy. I would agree that in years down the line, somebody's gonna build a path. So they can see the lake.
If the building envelope is defined and every landowner has a deed and it's defined on that deed all the way along the line, he's aware of that. So that, to me, takes care of that.
The best we can, but I mean, we find houses and we find garages without permits. So I mean, people do what they want.
It's also like true, and I'm not saying this, like true ignorance, like you just didn't know. You know, grandma left me the property and I just didn't know I was not supposed to go down to the water.
Yeah, it'll happen. I guarantee it'll happen.
Yeah, like.
But we shouldn't
on
be
the
not
deed or
saying
not.
right to develop something because something might happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's the law. Yeah.
You're calling them guilty already before it's happened.
Yeah.
Especially given the mood of our current government.
And ultimately, like you said, we can create the lots. It does not mean somebody's about to purchase them, especially at a lakefront price, knowing that you can use 1/3 of the property. So.
So on those wetlands, I can't remember you cannot build anything. You can't construct a driveway, a
You have a
pathway.
walk, but you can walk it. You just can't, I think you can have, like retaining walls or something like that. It's all in the section 8.
Yeah.
Zoning bylaw.
And it's a site plan.
Yeah.
Maybe not retaining walls, I think.
Okay. All right, we've kind of beaten this one to death.
Yeah.
Is there any other condition we want to add? You want me to read them again?
Yeah, got it.
The only condition I would like is a more defined colored build area to make it easy for everybody.
It's in there.
14 to 15,
Because I think it makes it a little difficult for everybody to
So you have
understand.
the building envelope there.
Yeah.
Gary.
the building
You
envelope.
have the envelopes on there, they're just
I
not.
know.
Yeah,
They need to be
You
better.
know what I mean?
It does look like the other ones down, like 12,
Yeah.
7 and 9 have red.
Something that can be pushed at planning board too, so. Okay, we have a mover and we have a seconder. Do we have any other questions? Comments from the gallery? All those in favor? Okay. Gary.
For your time.
Sorry, Amy.
Fell asleep.
It's gonna be a long meeting if we're going to.
That resolution tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going
Did
backwards.
you have a copy, correct? Did you keep the copy?
yeah,
Rob?
maybe I owe somebody
No,
that.
they-
No, but you, as long as you have it, I want to make sure you got it. Yeah, perfect.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lane. So Amy, sorry, we waited and then we moved ahead and then we got into a middle of an in-depth conversation that we couldn't leave, so apologies for that.
Well, no, I apologize for being late and having a seniors moment this evening. Anyway, I'm here now.
Okay, so we're back to item 4 in your agenda package. And Amy, over to you.
So I guess, long and short, I've brought my halfway point budget just for a review. We're in really good shape. We can chat about that or now or after if there's any questions. The big thing for me is this change notice we received from Circular Materials and responding, which I hope that council supports my recommendation to try to make some wiggle room with Circular Materials another go around.
So this was a surprise, I assume, Amy?
I didn't expect to see it this soon. I knew it would come because our contract's only for a year, but I had hoped that like it was right while there's a posting on the environmental registry, but where they're looking to make amendments. So now we're getting a change notice. Well, if amendments are made, we'll have to talk about it again. So I think what they're looking for is for us to come back and say, no, this is unacceptable. They want to start negotiations, I believe.
Okay. So I'll read in the resolution, Amy, first, so we can ask questions on this particular item. Whereas Circular Materials Ontario has issued a change notice proposing amendments to the depot operations agreement number 2024-00-142, including significant changes to the compensation structure effective January 1st, 2026. And whereas the proposed amendments include a reduction in residential depot operation costs from $4,080 to $1,223 and a reduction in promotion and education compensation from $1 to 35 cents per household, representing a 65% decrease. And whereas council for the Township of Armour consider these proposed reductions in compensation to be unreasonable and not reflective of the actual cost and responsibilities borne by the township in providing these services, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of Township of Armour does not accept the proposed reductions in compensation under the change notice issued by CMO dated June 27th, 2025. And further, the township shall be directed to communicate council's position to Circular Materials Ontario and to negotiate revised compensation terms that reflect fair and equitable remuneration for the township's continued provision of depot and promotion and education services.
Yes.
Yes.
Ron,
I'm just gonna read it again, but
Jerry.
Be slow again?
So I think that's clear, Amy.
what was that second?
Questions for Amy? Basically, we're pushing back.
That's all we can do, I guess, is push back.
We have to, yeah.
Well, and at this point, I would like to go back to Circular Materials and explain to them that we're not even doing what we signed on for. And now you want us to do it for less, but we're doing more. That's the
Yeah.
big thing for me. They're spending way more money driving trucks around rather than wanting to pay municipal programs what they deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe talking MP and efficiencies when it carbon footprint. I
Yeah.
can't believe this is what they want to do moving forward, so.
Illogical. Okay. We have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That's carried. You have a resolution in hand, Amy.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover from your report? Direct us to.
Nope, that was pretty much the long and short of my, like, I've had lots going on this month, but that was the sticking point for me. Moving forward, I'm just carrying on. I do have some work that I'm looking at, taking some trees down, clearing around the parking lot. Whether we stick with the front end bins for another 3 years, it's still an improvement that we can make. And how we're handling mattresses, we're looking at some improvements for that as well. So.
Check.
One little question, Amy, in regards to the flood right now, any provisions for people?
So I was out of office today, but from what I understand, the power of the control group got together and had a chat, and MMAH has been contacted, and I believe they're starting to chat about information sessions. So Dave might be able to elaborate more because he was in the room and I was not, so.
Or do you mean
I meant more for the landfill.
like to get rid of things that are ruined
Yeah.
because of the flood?
In regards to messes that people normally wouldn't have due to the flood right now.
When Peterborough flooded, the landfill was basically open for public use. I was there for the second flood, and it was just, there was no tipping fees, it was just,
Yeah.
it was just.
Well, I would go back to 2019.
That was a
And
good screen,
if
right?
we have an area or areas, if it's township wide, then everybody would be entitled. But how do we assess who is damaged? Like, I don't believe there was any homes flooded,
Okay,
but
I don't know yet. I don't know.
But there's definitely damage. There's definitely people that are going to be pulling up flooring in their basement. And
Yeah.
drywall, like
where?
There's somebody I was told today, I don't remember who it was now, somebody in Katrine's
Kent,
12 inches of
and
water.
Dobbs Road area on Picker Lake were badly flooded. So I expect some of those homes will have significant damage inside.
Yeah, so I would refer back to 2019 where we said we would do certain days for those. I'd
Okay.
go back and pull out those notes and follow the same procedure as we did then.
Yeah, I would ask us to look into being able to do that, at least see what was
Perfect.
developed.
And I would extend that to Ryerson as well.
if it's
Yeah.
because of flood, yes, I would think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
It'll be usually an insurance companies that will be coming to the door with truckloads of damaged material, right?
Yeah, so-
Contractors, there'll probably be very few homeowners that will deal with it themselves. They'll call their insurance company.
What happened, Katrine? How many of them did?
Did we get a bin and drop it off at Katrine, Amy?
That's what we did in 2019. We had a bin located, but it was all central on Horseshoe Lane
Yeah.
downtown, or Doe Lake Road, this central
Right.
area. So to have bins throughout the township might be difficult, but
I would just leave it heads up, it might be coming, like do what you did before, but there's definitely gonna be people coming with their flooded basement debris.
so
Just a thought.
direction from
Yeah.
council, if the staff encounters these people before we get a plan together, we
I
would,
think if you follow what you did in 2019, it worked then, it should work now.
So my
so
only
I guess
thought,
my thought
it-
would be communication should go out now to say if you have been affected by the recent storm and flooding, to reach out to the township so that we can start that list.
Yeah,
That's a
good point.
But I think you've made a good point in that it's insurance companies. So if I'm ripping up my flooring and cutting out the bottom foot of my drywall, it's an insurance claim. So I just need a receipt for my tipping fees.
And
As opposed to
sometimes,
just being free.
depending where
Whatever.
you are when you were allowed to build on a wetland, for example, you won't
But
have
it-
insurance for flooding.
Oh,
But
Jack.
if you wasn't
Okay,
that
okay,
stuff with
fair.
the ministry, and if they didn't cover cottages,
Yeah, it has to be your primary dwelling for any
Yeah.
type of funding through the province.
There's a number on Pickerel Lake that are primary dwelling, so.
yeah, but what if they're like Dobbs Beach or Dobbs Road where they're always going to season? So that was the issue with Horseshoe Lane too, right?
Some were seasonal. So that would be funding, but I would assume the township would still want to help those residents or seasonal residents with the
I just
waste.
remember us having to mark them all out
Yeah.
for the ministry.
Yeah, and
I
that's
think,
where,
I mean, the seasonal residents pay taxes as well, like the fact that they'll have a fight with their insurance companies or whoever, but.
I think we should treat everybody as residents.
As we discussed earlier, that a lot of it was kind of centered around the Magnetawan River as it comes into Pickerel
The
Lake.
north.
So if road crews are out there, or bylaw can go out there, and whether there's either hand delivered or something to the people that are out there, some sort of message that would get out.
Yeah.
And then another message put up on social media saying, if you've been affected, please contact the township office. If you've experienced basement flooding, you can have a bit of a registration going on there, and then we can determine as staff, if there's days that we would want to set up. But to Amy's point, get the communication out right away, and then find ways to contact areas that we know to be affected. I mean,
Yeah.
you've reported that there's significant impact at the north end of Pickerel Lake. If there's further down the trail, then hopefully social media gets it.
Yeah. I don't think the impact is gonna be significant as what it was in 2019 at Katrina. There's not as many structures there.
But your staff can also let people know when they arrive at the landfill to contact the township if they have any questions.
well, and I'll have the chat with them on Thursday to sort of say, if they're coming in and they expect free, I would hope that residents would call and say, okay, we were affected by the flood and I'm not paying for this.
Yeah, I think if Dave puts out a memo first,
Yes, yeah.
then they have to contact here before they go to landfill. Then we have a better idea what's going on.
I just don't want them to pay a tipping fee, find out in 3 weeks that they didn't get the communication
Oh.
because the people at the landfill didn't tell them when they arrived to contact.
Well, it's
That's why
more
it's
the
important to
argument
get-
for staff at the landfill that I'm
Yeah.
worried about, because some people can get really rude and all they're saying is, we don't have authority to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why
And
I
then
would
people
prefer
get
them to contact the township.
Crazy. Yeah,
And then for the staff aren't around on Saturday. These people are coming up to their cottages on the weekend.
Discovering, yeah.
Well, I think from the landfill perspective, if you're taking a name and an address of the individual looking to drop it off.
Yeah.
If you have name, address, contact information, then that at least puts a little bit of accountability back in our hands to where we can reach out and say, well, no, you were built on a cliff on 3 Mile Lake Road that didn't get affected, so we're not taking your mattresses.
Sucker.
But I
Because
think
with the MMAH funding, we will have to identify that area and the specific residents if they
Yeah.
want the funding themselves.
Yeah.
So,
there was some allusion on the phone call today to the notion of having some resident relief programs available, although not widely promoted,
Yes.
and not to cover things that would be covered under insurance.
Yes.
But again, they will have an information session for staff for the affected municipalities to help people through things, and we've already just started taking preemptive steps to make sure that we're prepared for that. We're making sure that the accounting is all straight for additional, right down to overtime. So operation costs and capital costs. And And that was another one of the reasons why we wanted to put that, the declaration out today, just to illustrate to people that, that all of the appropriate steps are being taken. So this being said, if we identify that area and any others come in, I know, for example, well, they're still in the Pickerel Lake area as well, but there were some other residents, again, lost driveways, lost everything else. We're aware of those areas, and if that's the big red circle on the map, and we follow that down the Magnenawan River for any other properties that could have been done, I mean, it's a pretty well a tabletop exercise to identify where we're going to have some challenges.
Okay.
Excellent learning material. Sorry.
You'll be ready for the next one.
For the big one. Well,
Any
I'm
other
thankful. I'm very thankful that Armour has such a wonderful roads crew because, you know, it's always a stressor when residents are sort of trapped like that. And the boys did an excellent job going out and getting it done. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And thanks for your help, Amy.
well, it's an excellent team to work for.
I was gonna also mention on in your emergency management capacity that you also received notice from the ministry that you have done everything that you needed to do for Armour Township this year. So I didn't see it in the agenda, but maybe in our
Yes, I
next meeting.
apologize.
Well, maybe in
I
our
got a little
next meeting.
excited about the circular materials stuff, so.
You had other things on your plate, but yeah, nice work on that. That's great.
So all four were compliant. I got Armour's letter and then I went on and checked to see the other ones and so McMurrick had been compliant and the village in Ryerson still hadn't been compliant. So I was a little nervous. And then I was sitting working on something else a day later and I get an email that says you've withdrawn Berks Falls's submission. I was like, I didn't do that. So,
I didn't touch it.
but it was a technical glitch in the system. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, fun times.
Okay, any other questions for Amy? Sorry we took up so much of your evening, but thank you for the update.
Well, thank you for being patient and waiting for me.
All right, have a good rest of the evening.
Will do.
Good evening.
Night.
Okay, now we are back to item 8. Have a list of accounts. Council Township of Armour approved the July 2025 accounts in the amount of $866,229.96 for payment, and the mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to sign checks for same. Rod. And a seconder,
Sure.
Dorothy. Any questions for Dave on this one?
I have one question, but I talked to Alice and it was the, I wasn't sure what the charge from professional loss control for 36,000.
Same question.
But it's the studies, yeah, for
You'll
us,
see. There'll be,
the peer review stuff, yeah. And so
there'll be paid.
that's coming back in to us, yeah. So that was my only question.
Actually, I had another question. Why were the keyless door locks replaced at the KCC again?
Yeah, and 5 of them.
Didn't we just do that?
We didn't have 5 before, we had 1. Or maybe 2. But definitely did not have 5. So unless they're in the basement now as well.
Oh, maybe. So these were just additional ones then? That's soon.
I can follow up.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, just jumped out because I thought we had done that already.
I also saw a TV mount for the KCC. Did we buy a TV for the basement? Because there's already a mounted TV in the KCC.
I'm assuming they would have had a TV mounted for the day camp program because they've moved a lot of the programs down into the basement for certain things. So I can follow up with that as well.
Okay. Because yeah, it says TV wall mount. I think it's actually only $38. But we definitely had one. Like there's definitely a TV mounted in the KCC right now.
Well, yeah, it's an 85-inch, and that's that TV mount. I remember when we bought that. That's
not gonna hold.
That's why I wondered why we had another one. Yeah, I was like,
Well, no, that something that size would be to mount probably a 32-inch TV or smaller.
Okay.
Just a smaller monitor. I mean, the seniors may be able to use that as well. Not sure what the specific was, but.
Okay. All right, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? We can pay the bills. How's everybody holding up? Do we want to press through the end of bylaw? Okay. Site plan application for
Can we
Johnston.
vote on that?
Yeah, we did. Yes, nobody else opposed.
He's the deputy mayor, so. Okay,
Had your chance to oppose.
we'll go, don't worry, we'll go quick. Dorothy.
Okay,
Go quick.
I won't talk.
On this.
All right. Site plan application 868 Skyline. Council Township of Armour accept the application for site plan approval submitted by William Robert Charles Johnstone. Plan M237 lot 24 described as 868 Skyline Drive and request the municipal planner proceed with drafting the site plan agreement. Mover, Mary. Seconder, Wendy. This is the trailer lot, is it not?
Yep. Yeah,
Rick's old place.
yeah, Bill Johnston, so he's 5 years, 7 years.
So that's a win. We let him extend his trailer,
Yeah.
but now he's building the place, so.
No, he's been great to work with. He's been, Kayla's still on the learning curve and with the site plan, he's been really good with him.
Excellent. Any questions for Shar on that one? All those in favor? That's carried. And some bylaws based on, well, the first two are based on our public meeting. Council Township of Armour approved bylaw 43-2025 being a bylaw to permit additional uses on land zone commercial holding, rural industrial holding, without removing the holding symbol, thereby retaining the designations of long-term employment lands fronting no limit roads as a commercial redevelopment corridor. And we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Dorothy.
Sure.
And Jerry. Questions on this one? All those in favor? Okay. And the Council Township of Armour approved bylaw 44-2025 being a bylaw to remove the restriction on a single detached dwelling of not being permitted as an accessory use to permitted uses in the rural industrial M zone. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw to fix the seal of the corporation there too.
Sure.
Rod and Dorothy. All those in favor? Carried. Ministrivia, that the Council Township of Armour approved bylaw 45-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its June meetings, and we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Wendy and Dorothy. Meetings June 10th, 24th, and the public meeting June 10th. All those in favor? Carried. And last but not least, site plan agreement 98 Doe Lake Peninsula. Council Township of Armour have written approved bylaw 46-2025 being a bylaw to enter into a site plan agreement with Lori Glenn Slater, Heather Elizabeth Gray, David Austin Gray, and Michael Allen Gray, concession 3, part lot 1, 42R-10213, part 7, and 42R-22771, part 1, described as 98 Doe Lake Peninsula in the Township of Armour. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Jerry and Wendy. This one we saw before. One meeting ago or 2 meetings ago,
I think we saw it twice, didn't we?
or twice maybe.
It's also the one with the Shore Road.
Oh, it's the Shore Road, yeah.
So yeah, there's 2 applications going on.
Okay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, it is 8:48. Why don't we give ourselves a break until 9 o'clock? Stretch our legs, we will return. We're into our reports. Item 14 is the planning report. Reasonably busy, fair amount going on. Anything you want to point out on that one? Sure.
What do you do when you see all these? Or sorry, not the plan, building, I'm gonna be.
Okay, we're jumping to the building with the
Yeah.
there. Go ahead. Questions on the plan report, on the building report?
You know, I see a lot of failed finals.
Yeah, question.
I just wondered, are there people not living there anymore? When they fail, or what happens?
Well, this one's an outhouse fail. It was failed on the last one, I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, how do you fail an outhouse?
Well, that was when we talked about the last council. That's not an outhouse. That's it's basically a comfort station. There's a shower in there. There's, but because it was a bathhouse, quote unquote.
Okay.
Well, usually if it's a final fail, it just means there's a few things that aren't complete, not that for him to pass it.
Usually the fail will come with a series of conditions that need to be met prior to.
Like a railing's not up or something.
Yeah.
Like it just says final fail, but it doesn't really say.
Doesn't say what it is.
Yeah, like if it's serious, are we allowing people to live there?
Well, but this is also public document. Like the agenda, right? So like Doug would have this information, the particulars on why they.
Yeah, but there's no way anybody knowing who this is.
Well, it has their legal description.
But anybody could come and get that anyway, so then.
That's what, but if I see legal description number with a failed, I could come in and find out who owns that.
Yeah, for really
Like. But I'm sure if there was a place that was unlivable, that Doug wouldn't allow them to continue to.
I hope so, but I don't know.
I'm sure there's something in the code, yeah.
You put an order, yeah. But
Just to ask, to see if he can detail reasons for the.
Or some sort of a code, I don't know.
on all that documentation would be a valid permit as to what he pushed back on for the final. So there would be records of all of that. Just
Could, maybe instead of failed, it could be incomplete.
That's might be better.
well, a failed inspection is a failed inspection.
Because that's.
Yeah, you're either, if I called for a final inspection, I don't get it, it's failed. I understand that. I understand what Jerry's saying too. It sort of looks weird, but it could be just incomplete.
We could ask Kayla to see if we can start detailing the reason for the fail.
One of them says engineering required.
Or in the case of Paul Schaefer, he hit the wrong button. I'll never let him forget it. He failed me on a Friday afternoon and went home for the weekend. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Meanwhile, you stewed all
I
weekend.
stewed all weekend. What the hell did I do? He said everything was fine. Okay, next is the Heritage Festival report. Things are ticking along, I assume, Charlene. Everybody's got their duties.
Danica and Melissa have done great.
So we'll have to talk to Danica before we pull the trailer in.
Yeah, in touch base with her
Okay.
regarding it. I think right now there's concerns about the wetness of the fairgrounds. And then brought to their attention.
Up where we are, we're up high, so
Yeah, you're lucky.
I will go look first.
Just make sure.
Yeah, maybe do a drive by, go in the truck.
I don't see me on here, but I'll just go to the dunk tank.
We can put you to work.
I'm happy to be at the dunk tank.
You did a lot with the getting people at the dunk tank, did some stuff. You were there quite a bit. Last year, that was.
You were running the dunk tank last year.
We're just dunking you.
Or dunking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Next up, 17 is the financial report. I think this is just bringing us up to date, year to date.
Oh, also remember there's a pancake breakfast at the Legion.
Yeah.
prior to.
Planning board is number 18. We had 6 hearings in the last meeting. So we were glad that the subdivision one from here didn't come to that meeting. Next meeting will be interesting. They are interviewing for an intern to help Linda. So they'll be helping Linda and helping Perry Township as well, but Linda said they're interviewing for that next week.
Is she involved in the interview process?
Could you make a note to Rod to get me the new fees?
Well, they were supposed to be sent out, actually. You haven't seen them yet, because we mentioned that in the meeting. Okay. I will make a note.
I'll update our website. Just, I know a lot of people go to our website for planning board information.
They don't have their own website, eh?
Next up is the East Home Report. It's number 19. And then we have the Library Building Committee. So this was the meeting with the CAO.
Yes, the meeting with the CAO. And just a quick point of clarification on the recommendation, that should actually read the library building building and fundraising subcommittee, but that's detailed down in history. Again, just for informational purposes. So there was some discussion around the topic of ownership, which has been a pretty hot topic over a number of meetings and at a number of tables. So the subcommittee members clarified the library board does not intend to request part ownership in the new build. The topic of ownership has been discussed by the board. However, there's been no motion by the board to pursue ownership, and there's no intention for an upcoming motion. Their main point is that they would like to posture themselves as stakeholders in the process, not shareholders. Carrying on down the with regard to the library board contributions and their fundraising efforts. So the members present clarified that the $12,500 contribution offered by the library board was intended to seed the progression of the build process, and was not made enough posture for the ownership of the new build. So there was some conversation about them taking part in the fundraising process and working in partnership with ACE to seek out and apply for fundraising assistance. I indicated at that point that as the project lead, we would proceed with any funding applications to programs that would be suitable, that would be eligible for when the time comes for the new build and when there's a plan in place. But the real meat and potatoes of the report is under the next steps. So we discussed the need for a project-specific agreement, very similar to what's going on right now with the fire hall. We discussed the project timeline, and that without a project-specific agreement and other priorities in place, such as the current library agreement, the project timeline is in question. And there was some further discussion about that when we had our shared our tri-council subcommittee meeting. So that'll be coming out in minutes, likely to hit the next agenda package. The subcommittee inquired as to what can be accomplished with the resources that have currently been committed. So the commitments from Armour Township, Ryerson Township, falls via the land that they are bringing forward, and their hope to proceed with developing an RFP in preparation for the new build that could cover off the engineering service and the architectural services to design what that building would look like. So that's their hope at this point, is that we could still move forward. Now, certainly conversations around this table have indicated that there are things that could be done to make this project more investment ready. So I had mentioned at that point that I can certainly look into obtaining an estimated cost for architectural, just to get a sense of what we would put in that RFP, how much that would cost. And engineering, by and large, would be site specific. And it certainly seems at this point that the We brought up at the subcommittee, or sorry, at the tri-council subcommittee, that a resolution from Armour Township and Ryerson Township with regard to what the site, what the site selection parameters would look like based on my March 11th staff report. So we will need to bring that back and determine what things are going to look like. However, that brings us all back around to having a project-specific agreement that would identify things such as the cost-sharing agreement for the new build. It was discussed at the tri-council subcommittee that prior to moving forward with any build process, we need to figure out what the allocation of funds is going to look like, and there would need to be some sort of agreement on who would pay what. So that taken into consideration, there was a lot of talk about, well, if we know we have, say, $625,000, could we not be looking for funding? Well, we don't know what the building is going to cost. We would need, architectural drawings, and we would need to reasonably understand what the capacity is of the municipal partners to invest in that. So there's a long way to go before we can start considering what funds would be available, and with the funding landscape being relatively liquid, that could change in a month's time. That could change as the years, as years roll by. So they also agreed that that having an operations agreement for the library is likely the first major piece, which they had hoped we could accelerate to the best of our ability, which there was some discussion at the tri-council subcommittee as well. But again, this report was put together just to capture what the conversation was. And I think it does kind of demystify the ownership component that's taken up a lot of airtime and conversations, and illustrate what their hope is moving forward. There was also some comments made back and forth at different tables as to, they had some architectural drawings done up for the existing library, and there was some confusion as to whether that architect, was supposed to be used for the new build, but it was clarified that they would just, when the RFP is drafted for those architectural services, that architect be provided with a copy of that RFP and the opportunity to weigh in on that. So it was just a great point to have a conversation with the Building and Fundraising Subcommittee to clarify and get in writing what the nature of their intentions was, and quash some ongoing, sometimes circular discussions about things like ownership and the urgency to push forward with a lot of what's going on. So it gave me the opportunity as well to say that there's a process that we're going to need to follow prior to getting too far into determining specifically what the costs are going to be.
Did the timeline discussion come up in that discussion, or was that more the try?
That was the try, that timeline was discussed. And just without getting too far into it, again, it'll be in the minutes. If we're going to be looking at a cost share agreement, which I'm not going to speculate on what that's going to look like, but changing that from ownership to, say, population based, which was a suggestion that was brought up, then that would also insinuate that there could be some that there would be a reasonably set monetary requirement from all three partners based on whatever that cost sharing formula would look like. And even if it was based on what we have now, which is, kind of the membership per municipality, that would put some fairly significant requirements, financial requirements on all partners as well. And we'll have the conversation about the tri-committee, the tri-council subcommittee, likely at the next meeting. But this meeting did give us the opportunity to kind of clarify some intentions and some of the process that will need to be followed.
Yeah.
I will also say that Nieves provided me with all of with their strategic plan, with their needs assessment, and a variety of other documents. I went looking for them on an RO drive. They may well be there, but they were buried. So I've got them where I can find them now and refer back to them as required.
Okay. Questions for Louis? All right. Thanks, Dave. Next up is the ACE report. I guess, Wendy, first over to you, and then Dave, if there's any other.
So we've got Dave's report here. We had a lovely barbecue meeting at Tim Bryson's new office headquarters in downtown Sunridge. He was gracious enough to invite us, and Dave did a wonderful barbecuing job, and it was a nice meeting. It was fairly long. And the report, details most of what's going on. Very busy again, like there's still lots of stuff going on in the regional economic development world, and of course, we're down one body right now, so that's, although Sarah did leave us in really good shape, so, that, person is, closes in July, the
So the posting closed Friday.
last Friday.
We received 23 applications. And so we're just in the process of evaluating those applications. We have not yet set dates for interview. It's been kind of a busy start to the week.
What are you doing though?
So yeah, we're working through those and we'll hopefully have those set up within the next week or so. The hope was to have somebody new start for the 21st. But based on a little bit of latency, given our current situation,
Could be August.
well, yeah, we want to make sure that if they're leaving employment, that they have the opportunity to provide adequate notice. But lots of great candidates. And it's going to be a fairly tough competition.
But I don't know whether you follow it in social media, but the campaign for Buy Local is on for the summer again. There was a really good piece, again, that the group came up with to try and focus on municipal tax dollars and how much of your municipal tax dollar goes for economic development. And I think that was widely and well received by anybody that read it and understood it. And that's one of the reasons why you'll see this other report that is dealing with a possible change in funding for ACE on the partners and switching to a easier formula for municipalities to understand. It's basically based on a percentage of the tax levy. And whereas now we've got the base of the 10,000 plus a third, which is population, households, and assessment.
Correct.
That's what makes up the balance now. So it's a little convoluted. Not hard to do, but just a little more accounting involved. We felt that this is simpler to follow, and you'll see the schedule here that shows the difference in what it would mean. I think the intent here is the ACE board has been struggling with what we can do to try and get some of the partners that we don't have at the table now in, and how we can continue to retain some of them, because we're in jeopardy of losing a couple more municipalities. And possibly at the end of this year. So that's a pretty big hit. So this levy shows whose contribution goes up and whose contribution goes down. Armour's, if we look at Armour's, we would see it of $2,962. Perry would see a decrease of $1,330. Jolly's would go up just under $1,000. Sundridge's would go down. Sorry, Jolly's would go down. Sundridge would go down. Strong. No, I
It looks like Sundridge would go up too.
Sundridge, yeah, Sundridge would go down, and Strong would go.
Red goes up, green
Yeah.
goes down.
Right, sorry.
So Sundridge would
And
go up.
green, I've got red and black, so I'm getting stuff on my paper here. Anyway, there's a different shuttle. The idea, when I look at that, I say, if it keeps more people in, I think it would behoove Armour to support it, even though our contribution would be slightly more. Because if we're really committed to economic development, as I think Armour is, if we lose 2 or 3 or 4 more partners, our contribution is going to have to be significantly higher, even if we take a hard look at the staffing and what we can do and what we can't do, and see whether we have to rationalize that. Unfortunately, again, we spend an awful lot of time of our meetings trying to figure out how to get everybody playing nice in the sandbox, and gets a little frustrating after a while. the people that get it, the municipalities that get it, and the ones that don't, it seems like every meeting we're there battling, trying to keep them at the table, so I find it frustrating, there's a couple of us that find it very frustrating.
It's such a low percentage of the
It's
tax levy.
extremely low percentage of tax levy. Now, the only caution I had was, based on the one we're using now, it's pretty standard. This being on tax levy, if you've got a municipality that has a lot of capital projects on the go, and they have to have a fairly high tax levy to fund those projects, they're gonna get hit here as well. So that's the only downside. But in my mind, if it gets more people to the table, then I think it's something we should consider. So we don't have a resolution for this.
No, this is for information purposes, and the idea was to bring back to the ACE board what the comments were around the table and whether municipalities supported moving in this direction versus the model that we have. The other points that I would make out on top, Wendy has mentioned, is that it also brings all members up to what we would consider a full share. At the outset of ACE, Jolly Township had submitted a proposal which was accepted by the newly formed ACE board, and that has been riding things, kind of moving forward. And the other point I would make to Wendy's comments about the conversations that have happened around the table is that a lot of what ACE has done to kind of pivot how services are being delivered is now putting staff directly in municipalities to ensure that there is face time with staff to understand the priorities that all councils have. If you go right back literally to the textbook of economic development from the Economic Developers Association of Canada, when you have large partnerships, you always come down to things like the issue of many masters and the issue of, say, turf wars. They got this, why didn't we get this? We saw that with another municipality a number of years back with when there was a focus on the industrial parks and a question. There's always these questions that come up. And the real notion there is having that face time so that all partners understand that their values, their projects are reflected in ACE's mandate. And we're working harder to ensure that those lines of communication are open. And so I feel that the ACE board has done a lot of work to try and meet some of the challenges that were previously identified, continue to do some work. And again, the whole idea of regional economic development is we reflect the priorities of the region as they are brought to the board.
Yeah, and that we had reported at the last meeting that we were gonna try this, putting staff in the municipal offices. And this report, I believe it's in here, I read it, you got some specific takeaways, like of some real positive things that happened. We found the staff were there, they heard from the municipality, well, we could use some assistance with this, and this, and they were able to be actioned fairly quickly. And positively for the municipality. So all we do is keep trying and keep hoping that.
I'm wondering if organizations within the municipalities could benefit from ACE.
Like community organizations?
Yeah.
So
or buy in even or contribute or be a $5,000 a year, or $2,000 a year contributing member with no vote or whatnot.
I think it's a great opportunity to investigate. I think a lot of the challenges, part of that article that Wendy had mentioned, it was our attempt to kind of demystify what economic development is. You're gonna have, even around this room, if we had that conversation, you get a number of different answers as to what it is, what it should be. Arguably, everything that happens in a municipality impacts the economic situation. It's economic development. So the idea was to clearly communicate and we've had it brought up from reps of our various ministries that attend, what about private sector businesses? Could they potentially become partners? It hasn't necessarily been fulsomely explored, but opportunities could exist anywhere.
Yes, yeah. There's the downtowns of a lot of our local municipalities are wonderful with really cool things happening. I think you just said the mayor's new office is downtown in Sunridge, right? The strong mayor. But there's a lot of, I don't know, opportunity. And I wonder, I do not do economic development, so I don't know.
We've participated in the past with various downtown initiatives and efforts, from First Impressions Community Exchange to supporting the downtown revitalization waterfront master plans, to a lot of the shop local doing community blitzes for Digital Main Street and so on and so forth. We've done a lot of outreach to community organizations to illustrate, our volunteerism programs and so on and so forth. So that the word is getting out there. I believe it was brought up in a news article. As the question is, why do some businesses get served and others don't? Presumably you could put that to community organizations. Why do some use it? Why do some not? And I mean, to put it as simply as possible, if you don't think you need the service, you're not going to go looking for it. Like I'm typically not looking up, prices for mechanics if I don't need one. So we push our programs out and let people know that we're there. We do our marketing, unless they see that there's going to be value for investing that time. And the reality is some businesses may not need those services, or they may not be eligible for the programs that we can advise them on. But we keep, unless they tell us to remove them from our distribution lists, we keep hitting them with information. So we try to cast as far and wide a net as we can for an army of, well, now 2, but 3 formerly, and soon to be again, and hope that those nets reel things back in.
One of the challenges and the biggest frustration that Wendy mentions is at these meetings, and we see the same thing at the Health Council, depending on what's going on at the time, is that inability to check your own municipality at the door and talk about the region.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, because the councillors will come in thinking that they're protecting their own constituents by saying, I'm going to fight to keep taxes down, so I'm not paying any more for economic development. They're not coming in with regional ideas to say, this is about the Algonquin Highlands, what's good for Algonquin. And if they don't come in with that mindset, the problem is you waste. Like with the Health Council, we wasted probably 6 months worth of meetings because we were battling those issues every single meeting, and nothing happens.
We do utilize other municipalities' resources, like we do, businesses, right?
It's good for everybody.
I can't go I guess I could go to Tim Hortons for a coffee in Armour Township, but I can't go for a coffee in Armour Township, right? But I can in my neighboring municipalities. So it all feeds into each other, right? Everybody supports each other. So.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting table, because it shows you what would happen if everybody came back in, how much.
It's always incredible to me to see the how 0.97.
Yeah.
And excuse my ignorance. What is AHCC?
Algonquin House Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. Oh, Chamber of Commerce. I was like, that's not I was like, Central is a health council on it, and why is it spelled wrong? Okay. Thank you.
Any questions from this report or?
And so Ryerson's donation, I would say their donation is probably pretty close to what their contribution would be if they because how much is their tax levy?
They would be around.
We have all those numbers.
Okay, so I don't need.
It'd be very close to Burks Falls.
That's what I thought. I thought it would be. So I mean, Burks Falls is paying. They're paying 19,000, not 5,000. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, Ryerson used to be a full partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Questions for Wendy? Thanks, Wendy. And I think you're up again next, the Tri-Council Subcommittee.
Okay, so that was a meeting that was pretty productive. We went through a draft library operating agreement and agreed on some things that we wanted in there, some important changes that we wanted to make. The goal is to have that. We're having another meeting right after August long weekend, where we look at the tweaks and the suggestions, and then we're hoping to have a recommendation that goes to the next actual Tri-Council meeting at the end of August. But definitely this is an operations agreement. This is not an agreement to do with capital. That's something that we will have to do next down the path. Lots of good discussions at this meeting. Discuss things like changing the name of the library, to be Berks Falls and area library. Discuss making it the Almaguin library. We don't cover all of Almaguin, so we kind of put that one aside and thought if we ever get a more regional approach to the library, as it's been discussed very, very briefly and informally, then we would say that.
We could call it South Almaguin.
Yeah.
South Almaguin Library.
Yeah, that was a possibility. Discussed approaching McMorrick Monteith to see if they're interested in becoming a full partner. So there was lots of good discussion.
Or partner with a percentage in the cost share.
A percentage, not necessarily.
The penciled in amount, not just a contribution.
Right now, we get their grant, whatever their government grant is, that's what we get.
On top of that too, we also talked about, is there a possibility for an elevated level of service lending library out of the McMurrick Monteith office, just enhanced service levels?
Enhance the service level.
It would be
if they were interested in.
really, and I mean, you've said we've had circular conversations, but I would be really interested to see if we can't rewrite the agreement for the upstairs of the Berks Falls Library, like the seniors part, and schedule times when library programs can take place upstairs so that the need for a whole new space is gone. We have enough space for books, but all of the other things we don't have enough space for. If we could share the space upstairs, we might not need a whole new library.
I thought that was being done now. I don't know if it's a set time, but my understanding, I don't know if Nevis is still on or not.
I think she just dropped, actually.
I think she uses that upstairs space when she needs to, or she can.
So it's used for sewing club once a week or during like September till June. But I'm wondering if it could be like a utilized scheduled that like where it's staffed, like the staff goes to work upstairs for the kids programming from whatever times.
How do you manage that? Because it's leased to the seniors. I think the seniors.
Well, it's not leased to them.
The seniors have the right to rent it out themselves.
Yeah, so that's where I think I wonder, and I know we don't own it, right? So that's where I wonder if we need to renegotiate the contract. Or Berks, like if we could work with, I mean, in these meetings that you're having, if we could work with Berks Falls for them to renegotiate their contract with the seniors.
That might be a good stopgap.
They were using that as an example, just like the seniors use it, when they use it, I know Friday afternoon they're doing it, but I mean, if somebody looked at a calendar and said potentially it's only used on call for funerals or receptions or whatever, but theoretically, if a block of time was left every day from
3 till 6 p.m.
I was gonna use it in the mornings in the summer or something, so that programs could be in the morning upstairs and the seniors would know to book it around the schedule, because that's working with it.
So it's a few years ago, I was running a program for the school board, but the funding for the board was during COVID, so we were not actually allowed to use a school facility to provide the programming. I reached out to the person there that at the time was servicing the seniors part, and he was more than willing to let us use it for 5 hours a day. And I think the rental rate he suggested was like $700 a month or something. So if we're looking at building a whole new library at $5 million, or we increase the library's rent by 700 and we have that space for 6 hours a day, it seems much more reasonable, right?
So the downfall with.
And it wouldn't have to be 6 hours every day, but
Just the reason we want a new library, the reason the library wants a new library is books aren't supposed to be in a basement. That's a basement. It's no bigger than it was 30 years ago. The books that are demanded, we're throwing out books to put in place for new books at a phenomenal rate. We shouldn't be throwing out books just to take a new one in.
I can appreciate all, like, and I'm not saying we don't need a new library, not by any means, or we could not benefit from one. Like you said, a stopgap. In the meantime, how can we provide more services with the space that we have now?
And that idea would be 100%. If we could schedule the kids' programs around not being used upstairs. Yeah. You're right, that would alleviate a lot of problems.
There were up to 30 kids during March break in the library in a day. So, and the programming was fantastic. There's programming every day in the library now. Sorry, Dave, I'm gonna wrap it up really quick. But it's empty. So downstairs is packed. You can't move. And upstairs is empty because it's used for cards. And I'm not saying it's not utilized, but it's used for cards for 3 hours on a Friday afternoon. Well, let's use it 3 hours Friday morning first, right?
Maybe the subcommittee can bring this as an idea, as a stopgap, as we're working. If it turns out it's gonna be 5 years before we get a new library, then maybe we do this in the meeting.
Even if it's a year.
Well,
I mean,
the
it's
timing
like,
was discussed.
Yeah.
Because we tried to kind of nail that down and try and understand what
How
other
it
people's
fits.
perspectives were on timing. And the sense that I get is none of the municipalities feel they're gonna be in a position any earlier than 5 years. There was a comment made by one of the members of the subcommittee that we need to have a new library built by 2030. We shouldn't be just starting the process by 2030. We should be well into.
Should be in the doors by then.
Should be at least shovels in the ground by 2030.
I should be retired by 45, but things don't always happen the way they should.
So it was good to hear that because I had no idea whether they were talking 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
I think Burkes Falls is willing to negotiate new contracts for a lot of different things. Hopefully they'll be willing to negotiate a new contract with the seniors.
Talking about that, so I hope
Whether they can.
the
They definitely
the
can.
rent agreement that
Or
the
they-
library
These are-
is controlled by Burkes Falls.
But it was built for the seniors.
Years ago, we had an agreement at the tri-council meeting that was agreed upon that the rent would go up 3% annually every year. Burkes Falls shouldn't have the right to say it's going up 25% next year. When it comes fall, I'm gonna get very boisterous. They don't have the right to do that. We shouldn't have to pay as a township. We shouldn't have to pay that much of an increase because Burkes Falls sees it necessary. They're trying to generate funds from any source that they can, but are they upping everybody else's rent?
But that will be included when you guys are created.
Come out of the agreement.
Yeah.
Out of a new agreement.
We're going to agree to 28%. We'll agree to a 3% increase per year or whatnot in the.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm getting at, is Tom.
Comments from that meeting?
Yeah,
That was so polite.
It's up worth.
so there was a bit of chat about the mechanics of the board size. So potential adjustments to what that could look like, and maybe lessening the membership, and instead of going at 3 members per municipality, having a rep from each council and then several members at large, and going on a skill versus will type of approach. So trying to find, and when I see this with a lot of boards that I've sat on, is they will actually have people apply and fit skills that would help move library business forward. I haven't seen the application process for the library board outside of what we just did, where we asked for an applicant. So the idea there is there a potential to reduce that number to 7 or to 5? So there was some discussion about that. And then we already talked about the cost share and potential of reaching out to McMurray Monteith. There was another suggested change to Article 3D that suggested the mandatory period at which the first installment is due. Just to provide a little bit of, then there was some back and forth discussion around when the library needs that money to pay their staff versus when the municipalities can get back. There was also some discussion about adding mandatory steps in the dispute clause that must be followed, as well as outlining a specific communications clause for communication between the municipal partners and the library board. There was some question around the responsibilities of some of the core business, such as the library staff or CEO performing all of the necessary work for the books and treasury. Should there be expectations for the CEO to assume control of the books with adequate, with training enhancements and so on and so forth. As a CEO, there's usually an expectation that that some element of treasury is in there or that somebody on staff is trained for that. So then there was some discussion about who has reserves established for library purposes. It was identified that all 3 municipalities do, although there wasn't a fulsome discussion on what those reserves were intended for, such as building improvements versus future capital developments, so on and so forth. And there was some discussion around having a statement regarding the scope of focus for operations, not for capital development, so just strictly focused on operations as the library board. And then we discussed on whether municipalities should pass a resolution regarding a reasonable timeline based on what the library agreement contribution rates are going to be. I believe it was brought up that if we switch to population, I'm just using rough numbers here, so please don't quote me. If the idea was Armour at 45%, Berks Falls at 30%, Ryerson at 25%, and a building agreement would also mirror that for investment, as we've seen in other agreements, that it's reasonable that it would take some time for all municipalities for Armour to raise their 45%, Berks Falls their 30%, Ryerson their 25%. And the question was asked on the table, would you be prepared to do this next year? And then the resounding response was, well, no. And we need to have those agreements in place before we can pursue funding, before we can get architectural drawings, and before we can move forward with engineer side. So library agreement, project-specific agreement for the build was, sorry.
Sorry, no. So my only question is, we have seen a lot of growth. Armour Township has seen a lot of growth. We have a potential for a lot more growth. The other municipalities may not have as much. So if we start out at 45, 25, so on, their growth does not change. Maybe it goes to 26 or increases by 1% or whatnot. Right. But ours increases by 10%. If the ownership of the building is equal to our kind of contribution, how does that, how do we change? You know what I mean? If today we build it today and they're 25 or 45, but in 10 years we're 65, they're 15. Mm-hmm. How does that change the building?
Like all agreements, they run in terms, right?
But the
cost of the building, the ownership of the building.
The ownership of the building would not. So
some things you can't forecast for. I mean, it is certainly something that needs to be brought up around the discussion table. Again, if we grow a lot and it pushes over 50% of the population of all 3, then we run into the conundrum of controlling interest.
So I do wonder if it's in everybody's best interest for the percentages not to be absolutely for the operating costs, but not for infrastructure. If we need to do a 33 for infrastructure, just to protect from Armour's growth against somebody else's potential growth.
So just out of curiosity, I understand where you're getting, just as a year and a half ago, Nieves actually took it into her own, because she always heard Ryerson Ryerson's had more growth 2 years ago than Armour did.
But their percentage would still not be.
No, I just meant though.
Yes.
Nieves did a little bit of homework just to see where the growth was, and Ryerson outperformed.
Yeah. So my only concern would be that if anyone, Berks Falls, they could get 2 sky rises and increase triple their, you know what I mean, their population. So my only concern would be.
I see where you're coming from.
If the percentage of the building ownership was reflective of today's.
But you would have to review it, because if you look at the current agreements, the one we just are putting an end to, mm-hmm. It was 100% owned by Berks Falls, because the assumption was that they always owned the buildings. So they're going to keep owning the buildings. Mm-hmm. Now we look at it today and say, well, hold on, that doesn't make sense.
We're paying for something we don't own.
So there has to be a review process.
So that's where I think that it would be in everybody's best interest to have equal shares in the building, regardless of for ownership of the capital. Right?
So why do you feel that for the library, but not the same for the fire?
I do feel the same for the fire.
Oh.
But it's too little too late. Yeah.
And I would also stress that we were heavily focused at this meeting on the operational side. Absolutely. And we have to get that locked down, which is going to be between now, hopefully August, we'll get it before Tri-Council for review. Then we can look at a project-specific agreement for the library build. So there's plenty of time to hash all this stuff out.
Looking back in history, there was a time when capital was shared a third
Mhm.
for all shared services.
And I think that would be,
And operating was more based on either population or assessment or whatever.
and I think that's exactly how it should be moving forward. That said, I mean, we now have a plan for the fire. We might find, I mean, capital and operating are different things, so we might find that our operating goes up, but we still own the same amount of capital because in 2045, we made it, a deal in 2025, right? So we'll have to stick to that, but moving forward with other builds. Sorry, Jerry, I do
My
promise.
battery's going.
I do think we need to look at, not today's, like, because like I said, Brooks Falls could get this huge influx of apartment buildings, right? So I think we need to look at, like, if that's what it was historically, a third, that makes sense. You want to own?
Back away.
Capital's a separate identity.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
And it
then
should-
operating,
It should
yes,
stay that.
absolutely. I mean, or Brooks Falls says, hey, we can't afford any of it. Ryerson and Armour go 50-50 and everybody does a third, right? Like, or sorry, 45-25, whatever. So.
So just out of, and I'm like a broken record. If we can't afford what they want, why can't we give them what we can afford? Simple, the Birch Falls are never gonna be able to afford their fair share of the build that Nieves wants. I don't believe.
That's 100% true.
They can't catch up to that point. So my point is, Nieves, the library wanted a dream library. It's bigger than any library in any, like, it's gonna be bigger than anything between Huntsville and North Bay.
We can put apartments above.
It's gonna be the elite of everything. We can't afford it.
Mhm.
This is what you get. Like, nobody can seem to come back down to reality. What do you get? Birch Falls are not gonna give them, like, if they're gonna build this in 2030, Birch Falls' share is gonna be $1 million. They can't come up with $125,000. They're not gonna come up with $1 million.
I think that was always the argument for not having a 1/3 was because there's probably gonna be one municipality who has the money and decides we're going ahead. But if we're going ahead, we're gonna own the building.
But that's exactly it. So we don't even, for the capital, we don't, it can be 50-50, 75-25, and one person not involved at all. And then we just work out the operating, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think that our capital should mirror our current operating, because I do think that our numbers are fluid, like they're changing.
And that'll come down to a project specific agreement, who's party to that agreement.
Sure.
So back to just a curiosity. We pay rent to Birch Falls as the library board. We build a new building. Are they gonna still pay rent?
Shouldn't be, if we're partners in the build, I don't see the rent as a line item anymore.
Yeah, so Nieves has had this fight about why is she paying rent for years.
True.
The library, the landfill doesn't pay rent, the fire board doesn't pay rent, the arena doesn't pay rent.
So actually the fire is
Okay, but there's no need to take it out of.
their budget.
But honestly, Birch Falls owns the building. They're the ones that say we want rent.
But with absolute respect to that point, we're not asking her to fundraise for her rent. The rent is included in her operating costs or her budget. So yes, it's not fair that she's paying rent to the municipal building, but at the same time, she creates a budget with rent included,
Right.
right? So
Right.
it's we're not saying, hey, you can't buy books this year because your rent went up, right? It's a line item. So
And I mean, and that's what I've said all along. There's certain things in the budget that are out of your control.
Mm.
So I mean, is that you work with like the hydro, the heat, the rent, like all those things doesn't matter to Nieves.
Yes.
She has no control over that.
Obviously.
It's just there.
if Brooks Falls puts up the rent 35%, she puts up her budget
I
35%.
think we're way into the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the bottom line is we have to get a new agreement in place.
Yeah.
With the library, and the subcommittee seems to be making progress.
Let the committee come back to us.
And the first goal is get the operating agreement sorted out.
That's what we're focusing on.
Did anybody want to talk about whether or not the ice should come out in September?
No,
I'm totally kidding.
it's a cool off spot.
All right, Health Council. So we met last week. There will be, there's a request. We did the 3-year coverage of the recruiter. And we at Armour, we as an Armour paid $1,000 a year for those 3 years. 8 or 10, I can't remember if 8 or all 10 of us, the municipalities put in $1,000 a year. The request is coming through for 2026 to 28 to do the same thing and cover the recruiter's costs. So I think it was well worth it. David Gravel's quite good. He's brought a number of nurse practitioners and physicians up to the area. And unfortunately, I found out about 10 minutes after this meeting that we now have a need for a recruiter in Berks Falls because we lost one of our nurse practitioners. So David is now recruiting for a new nurse practitioner for
us personally.
for the Meghwen Highlands Family Health Team. Just good news and bad news.
So we need them.
She was our nurse practitioner.
Oh, right. But it proves that we need the
They
recruiter.
only have two, they have 2 who are taking on new patients. So now everybody's been shifted over to Amanda, who's the other nurse practitioner, and Megan's gone now. So unfortunate, but. So there will be, there is no resolution, but it'll be coming. So I just wanted to give you guys the heads up because it's not till the 26th budget year. So there was no big rush. The other thing is that our summit in October, we've changed the format and thought having a 1-day summit is going to be a little silly and really difficult to manage. Because we have the relationships with everybody in the OHT already, we're just going to do one-on-one interviews and basically find out what are you looking to do? How do you want to expand in the Meghwen Highlands? What kind of facilities? What do you see the future in healthcare for your organization? And Shelley Van Hoovel, who's she was the executive director here up until a while ago. She's going to run that for us. So we decided at the meeting that that's a better plan. It won't be all trying to get a whole bunch of people into one room and try and workshop it. It's too unwieldy. So this should work better. So we'll use surveys and interviews. And we also decided to skip the August meeting unless something big comes up. Take a month off. Yeah. I needed a break. Any other reports?
DSAB is not meeting in July.
Okay.
Up to 11.
Usually they pick 1 month and yeah. All right, we are in the correspondence, unfinished business.
I sit on the Pride. So can do I have to, I won't benefit financially. But I do sit on it, so.
I don't think that's
It's a pecuniary interest.
pecuniary
Okay.
interest.
Are you getting money for it?
Not at all.
No benefit from it, so.
No.
I mean, I would disagree. Everybody benefits from it, but not financially.
Goes Dorothy, he, she?
No. I'm just saying it benefits our community.
Okay.
So can I move the $500? Last year we did $250 because we gave them the rental, or we gave them the rental at a charity.
They rented the case.
CC. This year it's a Magneto one, and they're asking for 500.
Okay. So you can move and then you can give the amount.
500.
Okay.
That's the request.
Council Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of
500.
500 to a Meghwen Pride to support the events they wish to hold in our region in 2025.
So I went to the Pride Tea in Powassan at the United Church. And actually a counselor from Sunbridge is the minister there, the pastor there. And like former mayors of Powassan came to the tea. It was pretty cool. Like what's Mike Brushy's dad's name? Peter Brushy came. Yeah. So like it was a really interesting event. It was a really neat event. And people that weren't even part of the congregation came to participate in the tea. Everybody was elderly. But yeah, it was a fantastic event, and yeah, lots of really good things going on.
Okay. So last year we gave $250, but to Dorothy's point, we also gave free rent.
What wasn't free?
Do we need a seconder?
We need a seconder. We had Dorothy as the first.
Well, maybe Magneto want to get free rent too.
I think they are. Yeah.
I'll see, only need 250.
No,
50 seconds. Okay. Any questions? All those in favor? And carried.
And unfortunately, Armour did not do the flag. We did not have a picture with the committee with the flag this year because I bailed. It was scheduled and I was,
We had the flag with,
the flag was up all month long, yes. All right, thanks.
Put the flag in your car and let you drive around.
I do.
Harris Disability Services. Council of Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to Caris Disability Services to support the events they are hosting to provide supports for vulnerable people within our area. So whoever wants to move.
We supported this in the past.
No,
I don't see one.
Years ago as Christian Horizons.
Oh, Christian Horizons, that's right.
Yeah, but I don't think we've ever. Not to know me.
Oh, yeah, it says it's their 60th anniversary. A free community barbecue.
the young girl came in and dropped that off at the counter.
Looking for donations for their silent auction. Cash donations are also appreciated. Do we have a mover?
I'll move 250.
I'll second that.
250 from Rod. Seconded by Jerry. All those in favor? That's carried. And then we have a bunch of correspondence up to item 30.
'31 is so exciting.
Yeah. Okay, are we into new business now? Fire Hall Bill, yeah, award of RFP. A resolution for this, Council Township of Armour supports the Township of Ryerson's acceptance of the request for proposal 2005-007 for the design and build for the new fire hall from Dom Construction in the amount of $3,634,900.50 plus HST.
Sure.
Moved by Jerry,
I'll second.
seconded by Dorothy. Any questions for Dave or to go back to Ryerson on this one?
Did we know if this was what they had budgeted for or what they were anticipating?
It is over budget, and I believe our next agenda item will go over the increases and how we're gonna deal with that. What I did hear from Braden, and what was circulated via email was that, there is a possibility of them getting more from the NOHFC, which would keep our costs fairly similar, but we're still waiting to hear back on that. So Allison has all that broken down.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? We're on to the next stage with the fire hall. Okay, related to that. Council Township of Armour supports the Township of Ryerson's application under NOHFC's Community Enhancement Program for the Brooks Falls and District Fire Hall project. Furthermore, the minimum bid was submitted in the amount of $3,698,874.75. Should the Township of Ryerson be successful in securing a grant of $1,849,437.38, the Township of Armour is committed to providing its share of funding for the project, estimated at $884,770.84, as well as covering any potential cost overruns that may arise. Mover.
Sure.
Sure.
I remember how much more this is than what we had originally put in.
I do not have those numbers.
The 1.8 million is 50%, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and then we're into our new business, which is staff report around replacement of septic system at municipal office.
Didn't know whether under new business you wanted to celebrate our Armour
Oh, I
night.
forgot we received this email from John Shaw, who lives on Chetwynd. He's a local artist showing you a conceptual carving of a replacement bear for Pete the Bear. So he's asking us if we'd be interested in a more than life-size version of this, which would be like 12 feet tall.
12 to 15 feet tall.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. Given that Mr. Burke and the Knights brothers flipped a coin for the naming of Burke's Falls in appreciation of their lumber logging and woodworking in the area, I think it's great to compete with the Knights brothers as Knight of Armour Township is a good idea. We'll see. We could use this as part of our rebranding exercise or some kind of contest there.
We don't have Pete there.
Well, so I did mention that. I think I spoke with Mr. Shaw on the phone yesterday, and his idea was that it would be there could be a series of them. I believe he is reaching out to Burke's Falls as well, but that because the bear symbolism is or the bear symbol is something that all communities share. He thought it would be interesting to have them in multiple locations or multiple feature areas wherever the township might have an interest.
Just take them around.
How would he feel about having a bear floating in an Armour boat, steamship? Maybe even the captain of the boat.
Maybe he should be the Knight of Armour. We used to have a snowmobile club called that.
Yeah. But maybe we
The
don't
Knights of
want
Armour.
bear.
That's what he was suggesting, is the Knight of Armour. That's right.
It's super cute.
You gotta read the very last line where it says PS.
Yeah, P.S. Mom wants the little bear back, please. This can't stay here.
But he made a cameo for the council meeting.
Yes, so
He's very well done.
Mhm.
he's kind of neat. He does some good work, actually.
Where's he live?
The road.
It's not too far from the way.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was wondering if that was him. Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
So if there's interest from council on a life-size version of
Not sure where we'd put him.
Armour Knight the Bear, maybe on the condition that we get to name him.
Yeah, we
So Burke's and the Knights brothers flipped a coin for what Burke's Falls was gonna be called.
That's correct. Yep.
Because there's Knights Brothers Park. Somebody got a whole town and somebody else just got a park in
That's right, they
it.
just did a
Well, the
park.
park was dedicated after the fact, but it could have been, it was 50-50 chance it was gonna be Knights Falls, not Burke's Falls.
Knights Falls is very.
And where is the falls? There's only a dam.
Burke's Dam.
Back
Yeah.
then there was a dam. Or a falls, so.
Should have called it Dan Burke's.
Oh, I do.
There's still time.
Anyway, so that's just a little levity. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that one, but we thought we would bring it to
I'm
you.
not putting that in the minutes.
No, you don't have to put,
We didn't do it in the minute
it's
agenda.
not even in the agenda, so it's fine. Okay. Back up to our backup
Right.
problem. We have an issue with the septic system that came about with all the rainfall we got this week. So maybe Dave, if you want to go over your report.
Yeah, we did notice, so I guess a little piece of good news with the work that the roads crew did out the front here did fix the drainage on this side of the building. So we didn't have significant egress of water in the basement from this side. We still got it from that side. When we checked the sump hole, there was what looked to be excrement in the sump hole, which has baffled our chief building official and other folks. We're not sure how that happened. I mean, if
It
anybody,
might not be related to the septic at all.
It may not be.
well, and this,
Locked in the lockup.
there were hefty amounts of humor floated around about what that could be. But the long story short, we dug up the septic tanks and it was full. The septic, Dingman's was able to get in yesterday to pump it out. Last time it was pumped was 2022. Then usually we go on 5-year stints. I mean, there was a significant amount pumped out of things that are normal to be in a septic system. But what was interesting is within an hour of us pumping it out, it was over half full again with water, which indicates that the weeping bed has failed. or is failing, has failed. And it was recommended that we check it every week to have it pumped out, or we risk having a lot of hydrostatic pressure pushing stuff back into the building.
So I was gonna, when your conversation, the ground is saturated. I'm sure anybody's septic system would be taking back water at this point. So what, I like the idea of checking it
Right.
before you panic, because the ground is saturated.
And you couldn't put a check valve on it.
The other issue is that Paul had discussed with John before, with the number of people that are now working out of this office, that it was just a matter of time that the septic would need to be assessed.
Yeah, a regular house should be, a 4-person house should be pumped out every 3rd year to be working properly. That's 4 people. You got a hell of a lot more people in here for, so it needs to be pumped out yearly.
Do the business at home.
And not only that, you have to use proper soaps and cleaning solutions and stuff like that. Can't be putting that in the septic.
Where,
I think we should just be, more snacks should be cheese.
Tell that to the guy that's gluten.
unless you have a dairy intolerance, and then don't
All
touch
you gotta
that
do is
cheese.
put a pound of hamburger in there every now and again.
Oh my goodness. So my question, where does water and sewers go to for the village? How far up does it go?
It runs right past here. You got, the water goes up to,
Or, yeah,
goes up to Commercial Drive there.
but water, but not sewers.
I don't
Sewers doesn't
think
go
sewers
far.
does, I think water does.
Yes.
I think first, what is,
Before
they
my-
all got their own septic system across the road.
Okay, yeah, because it would have been great if we could just tap in.
I believe sewer does go up there as well, does it not?
I don't think so. You'd have to
I thought they
check some
had
of the old
both, but they were
information.
charging so much for it that nobody put it in.
The new person that right out behind here, did they tap into the water and sewers, or did they? Do they have a well and something?
Sewer out there, but I'm wondering if sewer goes out Commercial Drive.
I don't think so.
I can't imagine that Tim Hortons.
I thought they ran one big pipe up, bypassed all this and went straight up to commercial.
Because I think that,
Someone has septic or sewer.
but I think the reason why he did that was because of the connection fees.
Yeah,
No,
There was a lot of discussion about that.
There was a lot of discussion.
yes, but he didn't, we found that out. That's why the solar panels were put up there, because initially we thought, what are you doing? You put that on top of your septic. And he said, no, remember Larry Greenwell was here. He decided in the end to hook up to the sewers.
Sewers.
I wonder,
Martin's got a septic system.
Okay.
oh, they view it, guys.
That's the LCBO.
Okay,
LCBO also has a septic system.
Like, he does.
so, but back to our septic, just put it in perspective, when did you say the last time it was pumped?
2022.
2022 and
Yeah.
prior,
Here.
Like we failed miserably in taking care of our own concerns. Like, just based on a 4-person house should be pumped out every 3rd year to be running without issues.
The system has gotta be 40+ years old.
yeah, so it wasn't Dingman that called that had said that the system was failing as it is now. It was Marshall Well Drilling, a gentleman that came in from Marshall Well Drilling that gave an opinion on it. And he said, yeah, it's,
I believe it.
They'll have to be careful when and if we replace it, because we've also got the heat pump lines running out there as well.
And you don't want to mix those two up.
They have been dug up once over here.
Yeah, over here.
yeah. So we have a resolution to basically cover the cost just in case, Dave, is that the idea?
Why is there not a porta potty cost on your day?
we have to fish out of Picker Lake.
You're a lot more less expensive.
You go out there in January.
I'll just go home like the staff needs to.
Okay, so this is an emergency procurement. Yeah. Just in case, okay. Whereas the septic system at the Armour Township Municipal Office located at 56 Terrace Street has been identified as failing and an urgent need for replacement. And whereas the failure of the system poses an immediate risk of disruption to municipal operations and may result in further damage to municipal property. And whereas the anticipated cost of the emergency replacement is expected to exceed $35,000. And whereas the Township of Armour's procurement policy permits emergency expenditures in circumstances where immediate action is required to prevent damage to property and maintain essential services. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council Township of Armour hereby authorizes the emergency replacement of the septic system at 56 Ontario Street in accordance with the township's procurement policy, and further that the necessary funds be allocated for this purpose from the appropriate budget line or reserves as determined by the treasurer.
Sure.
Sure. Oh, I put my hand up, but you didn't look up. I don't want people to actually think I wanted a porta potty.
I got Rod and then I got Dorothy.
Okay.
Where does your water off the roofs go now?
Well, that's the subject of much debate. I'm quite convinced it goes out to the ditch over here.
Right.
However, what we've run into is that we're trying to find dye packs so we can figure out which drains go where.
Now, if you go digging out here in the front, that's what happened before, remember? It was digging up that pipe that went out to the ditch.
Right.
Okay, and that is where the lines come in for heat pump. And they dug that up and covered it up, and then we lost all our air conditioning. And then we had to get a contractor in and fix that up.
So would a locate determine where those are, or how are we gonna find out where they are?
I don't know whether we took pictures on that or not.
I don't remember. I do know the one we excavated around the whole building and waterproofed it. The drains there was.
Go out to the ditch.
Drains,
Yeah.
they go out to the ditch.
And it could very well be that if that's plugged out there, you're gonna saturate everything up in here, so.
Well, I don't, so Dave was down in the ditch and removed some debris from inside the mouth of the pipe.
Okay,
But again, we were hoping to have some dye packs to figure out, to put some down the drains to figure out what was going on and where it was coming out. We haven't sourced those yet. And we were hoping for that to happen so we could figure out whether or not additional work needed to be done around the foundation here. Because again, solving the drainage problem over on this side, fixed water coming in this way, and we still got a bit of water coming in.
it's when all this was done here, and the guy went around on that side and did that, and that's when he dug it up and covered it all up again. And that's when we found out that he dug the lines up. And said he didn't, but he did.
We have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? You have your emergency procurement. All right, now just for fun, we have a closed meeting as well. Keep this party going. Council Township of Armour hereby move into closed at 1:13. There's section 239(2C), the municipal act to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Dorothy, seconder, Jerry, all those in favor, we're now wants to get back to her driveway. Okay, we're out of closed. So move forward as discussed and closed. Thank you. Any other items of discussion? Council Township of Armour adjourn this regular council meeting at 10:31.
Sure.
So next regular council meeting moved by Rod, seconded. Wendy, all in favor, we're going.
Everybody.
If you have